Welcome everyone to the reorganizational meeting for Rutland Town and their select board. I am Carrie Clark, the clerk and treasurer of Rutland Town, and this is Tuesday, March 14th, 2023. At this time, I'm opening up the meeting we are going to nominate a chairperson tonight on the board, but first we need to start with the pledge. I'd like to hand it over to Mr. Don Chaffee, and he's going to lead us in the pledge.
My last official act as chairman. I'm very proud and thank you very much, Carrie, for the honor of doing this. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to
the republic for which it stands, one nation. Hello.
Thank you, Don.
You're welcome.
At
Okay,
this time. Hi, Sharon.
Hi, I'd like to nominate Mary Ashcroft as chairman of the board.
Second.
I'd like to second that.
No, you want a second?
Yes.
I'll fight you for it, Joe.
Well, I'll second it.
All right. Well,
Well, if we have 3 seconds, we don't need a third or a fourth.
oh my.
Uh,
Before I could even say anything, I have a nomination for Mary Ashcroft, and it's second and third.
Yeah.
Maybe a fourth.
Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations for chairman of this board? And one last time, do I hear any more nominations? At this time, I'd like to close the nominations.
Ask for a vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Sharon, did you vote?
I did. I said yes.
All right, we have no oppositions, and I'm hearing Mary Ashcroft is our chair for this year. Congratulations,
Congratulations,
Mary.
Mary.
Thank you, Don.
Congratulations,
folks.
Mary.
Thank
I'd
you.
like to also
Well-
nominate Joey DiNardo as clerk.
Second,
And I would
Oh.
respectfully decline that because I don't feel that I'm doing the job because I don't attend these meetings in person that often. And I think the clerk should be here to read things that need to be read and just in case the chair doesn't show, run the meeting. And I just feel like I'm neglecting that responsibility.
but you're participating remotely. Almost
Yeah.
every meeting.
Yeah, it's just hard to do the other parts.
Joey, if we're
I'll go with the
happy
clerk,
with
too.
you. Joey,
Yeah.
I feel content with you. I feel you listen. I feel you stay informed. So I really would like to see you take that,
Okay.
accept that nomination.
Getting
I think
railroaded
we've
right into
beaten
it,
it
aren't you?
into it,
Yeah,
Sharon.
okay. I get beat right into it.
All right, since, so motion's been made. Carrie, you're finished. You don't want to preside over the election of the clerk?
No, I'm good.
Motion's been made and seconded to, actually, who seconded? Because I can't. Her?
Yeah, I'll second.
Thanks, okay.
Or did Don second?
All
I
right,
don't
one
know.
second.
Oh, I got the second on Mary, so you can have it on. that.
Okay,
Right.
good. So all in favor of electing Joe DiNardo as our clerk, please say aye.
Aye.
Sharon?
I said aye.
Thank you.
Yeah, there you go. I don't hear it for some reason.
Anyone opposed?
I
No.
think I said that last year. too.
Yep, you tried. Okay, thank you, Joe, for being our new clerk.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Right.
Our new old clerk. Okay, next item on the agenda is the approval of the select board minutes for February 28th. They're in your packet.
Move.
I
to
make a
approve.
motion, we accept the minutes as printed.
Motion's been
Second.
made and seconded to approve the minutes of the February 28th meeting. Any additions, deletions, corrections? If not, all in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? The minutes are approved. Okay. Are there any announcements from?
Do I have the copy
select
here?
board? Oh,
Can I make a quick announcement, please?
sure.
Can I thank everybody for the fruit basket and candy basket you sent me, and the people that brought me flowers, and the people that brought me food, and the kind messages from all of my board members. I thank you, and it meant a lot. So again, thank you.
Thank you, Sharon, and speedy recovery.
Thank you.
There, any other announcements? I did see that the circle deadline for the upcoming circle in April, the deadline is April 1st, so please mark that. Okay. Any questions from the floor or public comments? Got a number of people on this evening. Nope. Okay, we'll move along then. Chris Clark, Town Fire Chief.
Good evening.
Good evening, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Hey, Chris,
Hi, everyone. Sharon, I'm glad you're feeling better.
thank you.
I don't have much tonight. First, I want to thank Don for a good year last year as chairman. He helped us out a lot, and congratulations to Mary. Tonight I have February, we had 9 fire calls for the whole month. So far in March, we've only had 3, so it's been a slow couple months. We do have a new member application that should be on your desk for approval and signatures if you so choose. His name is Bryce Prezo. He's 18
Yep.
years old. Lives on McKinley Avenue, actually right next door to the station. So we met with him last week and we think he'll be a good fit. So if you guys approve it, I will have him come aboard.
Move to approve.
Well, then I
Second.
make the motion, Chris. If you guys are satisfied, that's what we need to know. So I made the motion that we accept Bryce onto the Rutland Town Fire Department.
It's gonna be that kind of an evening because Kurt's already made the motion and Joey's seconded and
Oh,
Sharon's now.
okay, sorry. I'm not
Sure.
nearly here yet. Sorry, guys.
And so he's a town member.
Yep.
Any further comments? If not, all of those in favor of approving Bryce Preso for the Rutland Town Fire Department, please say aye.
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 Okay. Motion carries. And there's a place where we all sign, so I'll circulate that.
Good to see you.
Anything else, Chris?
Just one other thing. Nothing really major. When we got new engine 3 back in August, we set aside $15,000 for the company to mount our tools and flashlights and all that good stuff. I don't know who I'm looking at here. They did very minimal stuff, so I've been in contact with them quite a bit. So they're gonna send us a check back for $12,500. So, and I'm gonna have Carrie and Susan put it back in the depreciation fund. If
Perfect.
is that okay with you to put it? I mean, that's where it came from, so I'd like to put it back there if we can.
There are
Good.
nods here on the board, so yes, that would be.
Yeah,
So
glad
does
to
that-
hear.
Yeah.
Does that mean we still need work done or?
No, it's all done. We did the rest. We were supposed to send all the tools down, which we did, and it just didn't go smoothly. I mean, it's done now and they're repaying us for what they didn't do. So
Perfect.
Perfect.
Okay, good, thank you. Any board members have any questions of our town fire chief?
No, good resolution of the issue, Chris.
Yeah, thanks for really working on that, Chris. Appreciate it.
no problem.
Okay, if there's nothing else. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks.
Yes. Okay. Marcia Chaffee, Town Lister. Marcia, are you with us?
He's on there.
What up?
Okay,
There
I
you
just had
go.
to unmute myself, sorry. Congratulations, Mary. I look forward to working with you this year.
Thank you, Marcia.
All right. Well, as everyone knows, April 1st is quickly approaching. We've only got, excuse me, a couple more weeks. And this is getting to be a really, really busy time in the Lister office. And since we have had no resignations and we still have 2 listers and, well, actually 3 listers with myself, but no help in the office. I would like to ask the board to put out a notice that we would like to get a lister clerk in the office to do some data entry and to possibly help with the business personal property. With the help of Bill and Susan and Carrie, we have identified many businesses in Rutland Town that we have had no knowledge of. Susan printed out the list from the Secretary of State of all LLCs and businesses registered on the Center Rutland 05736 zip code, and we have identified 67 businesses in Center Rutland alone. Of those 67, we have on our books 38 of them. She was going to print out Rutland 05701, but that would be a Herculean task to try to identify all the businesses with an 05701 zip code. And also Susan printed out the 05759 North Clarendon, of which I have identified quite a few businesses that we do not have, and we have not been billing for business personal property. This would be a daunting task to identify and visit all of these businesses to find out exactly what it is that they have and what type of business they are conducting in the town. Excuse me, I seem to be losing my voice here tonight. So with that, I really would like to be able to hire someone on a part-time basis to just give me some support in the listed office.
So Marcia, how many hours a week and what are you?
Well, I'm putting in
for the
32
rate of
hours.
pay?
I myself am putting in 32 hours in the office, but I am also doing work on the weekends at home, probably like 8 hours over the weekend. If I could get someone part-time for maybe 15 to 20 hours a week, that would be a big help.
Okay, and what's the hourly rate that your budget will support?
I
Or
haven't come up
range?
with an hourly rate right now. I have to go back and see what is left from now until June 30th to see what's left in the budget for lister salaries. But I would anticipate would probably somewhere between $15 and $18 an hour.
Don't we set those rates, Mary?
Um,
The board, I mean,
we can,
we have in the past.
we've budgeted for,
Yeah.
so I'm curious to know what we've budgeted there too, so. Any questions? Any
I
other
don't have a
follow-up
problem with it.
questions?
I don't have a problem with it.
Okay, so let's do a motion to post an ad
So move.
Second.
for a lister assistant for 15 to 20 hours a week.
Would we anticipate what Kurt has had conversations with one of our listers? Could we anticipate that and put Rutland Town resident in there so that we'd cover both bases?
That would be nice.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I'd hate to put
absolutely.
somebody in there. and
Yeah,
then
that
not-
would, be. I think
not
that we
have them
should.
be able to be appointed if we get a
Let's do it
vacancy.
this way. Preferred?
Preferred.
Prefer.
Yeah, that'd be
Okay.
good.
Yeah.
Because if you don't get anybody and she needs help, you better take what you get.
Right.
That's right. That's right.
Be okay with that amended motion?
Okay, so motion's been made, and seconded to advertise for the position of lister assistant, 15 to 20 hours a week. And Rutland Town resident preferred.
Correct.
Okay.
Good.
Yep.
All, any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed?
There she is.
Okay, none opposed, motion carries.
So how,
Bill, will you work with Marcia to post this for the, wherever it needs to be posted, so we get good coverage? Sure. Good, thank you.
Yep.
just a question, how do we resolve that situation with the lister position? Do we have a plan in place?
I
We
think
have
a
no
visit,
control over it. We really don't have any control over it.
Okay.
I think a little outreach.
Maybe a follow-up, Kurt,
Yeah.
based on your previous conversation.
'Cause
Yeah.
this is
No.
an area that needs attention
Yes. it
and
does.
can't be left to the whims of whomever. This has to be addressed.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Marcia, especially for
Well,
your
I just
team and
wanted
the
to-
work on. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to update you also on what is going on with the tax department and the new program, VT Pi. We had a webinar this morning, which started out kind of shaky. There were two webinars going on. One of them, which I had registered for, was reappraisal reality. And the other one was current use for clerks. And we had kind of a glitch where half of us were dumped into the current use for clerks and half of us were dumped into the reappraisal reality. But what I've garnered through this webinar was the state really doesn't have a clue what they're doing. I hate to say this, but there was more confusion than there was reality to the reappraisal. I did this from home because of the weather this morning, and Don was there and listened in on the webinar, and he was as frustrated as I was with people from the tax department that really couldn't answer our questions as to what they call the yield and the equalization, and it is just a bunch of mumbo jumbo that is so difficult to figure out. There's no plan in place as to what we're going to do going forward with 165 towns that have to reappraise, and reappraisal firms going out 4 to 6 years. And there's nothing in place to help us out. So it's been frustrating trying to figure out, well, what are we going to do? Come July, when we get our notice to reappraise, I'm going to have to put in our reappraisal plan, and we have I have 30 days to answer to the reappraisal letter. And once the reappraisal letter goes in, I have 180 days to formulate a plan and put it to the state and put it out for bid. And this in itself is a daunting task. That's basically what's going on with the state right now. We're still undergoing many webinars with Vermont Pi and migrating from the NIMRIC grand list into the Vermont Pi axiomatic program. Every time they release a new last week, they released the homestead declarations, and it's nothing like we had in the grand list in Limerick. They just dumped a bunch of homesteads with a link to a list that would take forever to go through. So hopefully they're going to work on that and we can get some kind of a better system that we can identify people who have filed for their homestead. So it's been frustrating for sure.
Yeah, well, thank you. And I appreciate the update on what happens with reappraisal. And I'm guessing sometime before the legislature adjourns, there'll be a little more guidance about what towns may go first, because if there's 165 that all need to reappraise,
165, yeah, yep.
we don't have enough appraisers in the state to do it.
Well, just to add what I gleaned from this 3-hour webinar, and I don't mean to lengthen the discussion out by giving a full summary, but just to hit the highlights in reference to what you said, Mary, they quite frankly don't know how they're going to handle that volume, which is right now physically impossible to accomplish within the timeframes that the statute requires. It's just not possible to do that. There's a 4-year lag time right now just to get on the list. And you got 165 that got to sign up. They did talk about setting up some kind of a priority based on how far away you were from the 10-year cycle.
Okay.
Which Christy Wright had said, well, they've been discussing trying to go on a 5-year cycle to speed things up. Well, my God, if there's 4 years lag time from appraisers to be able to even get to you, it's not very realistic to assume you're going to go with a 5-year cycle. But even to try to get on a 10-year cycle, which she's trying to do, is going to be a monumental task. So, well, you can read between the lines of the discussion that took place between the tax department and the PVR people on the webinar, that the state is thinking of coming up and they're going to be pressed to come up with their own solution to get us out of this mess.
Mhm.
And that would be a statewide appraisal
Mhm.
that the state would contract for, and they would take the money out of the fund that's established for appraisals generally and or the budget, and they would simply do it. Okay, that's one thing. This yield question, as you might have known, ever since I've been involved with the town government and the funding situation with Act 250 and our penalty and all that stuff, I asked many questions of our district superintendent way back when I was teaching, and I never got a good answer, and I got referred to the tax department, and they couldn't really explain it to me. And I've always asked, how do we get in and how do we get out of being a penalty town? And nobody could ever tell me. Well, it's the CLA. They have got these formulas so frogged up that it would take 3 Philadelphia lawyers to figure it out. But the answer to the question this morning, because people on this webinar, listers on this webinar, that was one of the first questions they asked. Well, how do you get this yield number? Because the yield number is a number the state comes up with in order to equalize educational taxation throughout the state. Well, what is it? Basically, what they said was, and I'm going to simplify this really, basically what they said was the yield formula is constructed based on the budgets that are submitted by the education departments in the whole state, so that the state equalized per pupil costs can be attributed to each community, given to each community, and they'll know how much money to gather from it. So basically what that means is that the yield figure that they come up with is based on whatever the municipalities come up with for a budget, which essentially is essentially is going back to what Governor Howard Dean said when this bill was first passed. He said, well, I'm going to support it, but I got to tell you this. If you don't put controls in it, it'll be like you can't spend like drunken sailors. There's got to be some cost controls. And there was never any cost controls put in there. So the major municipalities are the ones that have the heavy expenses because they're the ones that got all the IEPs and all of this and that and a big structure to support. So when they increased their budget by 400, 500,000, and then another one in Brattleboro and another one in Springfield and whatever, those big numbers that add up are the numbers that drive the yield figure that the state comes up with. And small towns like ours, or any town that has an educational system that is trying to control costs and keep them low, is outweighed in the yield formula by districts that are raising the cost. So, and
Well, it
that's
sounds more like this is something the legislature needs to tackle.
Absolutely.
Not much we can do
No,
here
no, there
other
isn't.
than to keep an eye on it. So
That's
I'm
all
glad
we
you
can do.
are.
That's all we can do.
All right.
And realistically, the town ought to be aware that even though we're under the gun with we're going to get a letter in June, that the actual reappraisal that we would do, if we end up having to do it, but I don't think we will, I think the state will do it, would be quite a ways out.
Yep.
At least 4 years and probably 5 or 6 or 7 years out, based on a weighted formula of who comes first in that mix. There are towns that have a CLA that is much, much lower than 85. So they would be priorities before the town of Rutland. We're just barely into that
Yeah.
required
So I would hope that
number.
those towns that are more out of whack would be,
first.
looked at first.
Yeah.
So, okay, we'll
Anyways.
wait and see. Thank you, Marcia.
You're welcome.
Appreciate your efforts.
Good night, everyone.
Okay,
Night.
good night.
Night.
Carrie Clark, Town Clerk and Treasurer.
Am I allowed to say goodnight, honey? Probably
Can.
not.
It's up to you. It's up to you.
Depends on.
But only to Marcia, not to Carrie, okay?
Evening, Carrie.
Good evening. A couple of quick things and then one slightly longer thing that may take a little bit of discussion. Congratulations, Mary,
Thank you.
and thank you, Don, for
Yes, thank you, Don.
for the year that we've had with you. So this past Tuesday was our town meeting election. Things went smoothly as predicted. Our attendance was pretty low. On average, a town meeting in Rutland Town seems to be lower than attendance or participation in November. It was roughly around 23%-ish. Yeah. But the thing that I wanted to make sure goes public and also in the minutes, just for transparency reasons. Yes, we have those new tabulators, but we were experiencing some mechanical difficulties with them, to say the least, on Tuesday, which seemed to progress as the day got longer. And it was so much so that some voters were getting a little irritated with how it was feeding. So their ballots weren't going in the first try, and some voters were standing there for several tries, even some up to 7 to 8 tries, to get the ballot to go in, and that should not be the case. It didn't affect numbers any, and I do want to make that clear. But the workings of it, there's not something that's working right with it. So I contacted immediately the day after LHS, which is the company that gives us and makes those tabulators, and I told them all of my concerns because also during right when I was running the report for the end of the night after polls closed, the tabulator stopped printing. So that was a second issue that we had to overcome. So they heard my concerns, and the long and short of it is they plan on doing maintenance to all the tabulators around the state in the summer, and asked if I was okay with that schedule. At that point, I said, absolutely. I mean, I didn't know if we were going to need them anytime sooner at that point. So where it stands is I will be contacting them in the summer to set up a time they come and look at them. I did voice my concerns about how many elections we will have next year, and that this could not happen at all. So before they leave this building, those tabulators will be fixed in my mind. Just wanted to put that out there. Another quick thing, dogs are due in a couple of weeks. And the trend over time, actually in the last 5 or so years, every year that we keep going, the amount of dogs are getting smaller and smaller. So we haven't seen a whole lot of people registering their dogs this year. So it's just a gentle reminder, and that reminder is also going to go into the newspaper for that. You're welcome. You have a list of liquor licenses, which are
Yes.
actually 2 businesses that are requesting, one for renewal and one brand new one.
Okay. So there are, well, 3 for 99 Restaurants LLC,
Right.
first class, third class, and OCP, outside consumption. And 1 for the Maple Angus LLP. And our police chief is here. We've got any problems reported with any of these? No? Pardon? There are 3 for 99 Restaurant. Okay,
Maple Angus is brand new.
Brand new.
yeah.
That's that down here.
Yep.
They
So is there any motion to
move to
approve?
approve.
Motion's made and
Second.
seconded
Second.
to approve the liquor licenses as stated for 99 and the Maple Angus. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion carries, and I'll circulate this. We can all sign it.
Thank you. While you're signing, the last thing, slightly lengthier to discuss, but I was reminded today that perhaps we are thinking about having a special election for the new public safety building. And I know we've had previous discussions about it. Not going into the actual contents of what it is, my concern from my point of view is I'm kind of in charge of that sort of area. And having that on my plate kind of puts a couple of things out there. Elections have rules and deadlines that we have to follow, and looking at the year in total and all of the, probably I would say, state statutes around elections and timelines, we are in crunch time without even knowing it for this special election. To put it kind of quickly, on years that we do not have many elections, we as a BCA board challenge voters in the town. That's our job on the kind of the off years, and that's this year. According to state statute, you cannot have an election within 90 days of that deadline of challenging voters. And that deadline is September 20th. So I counted back, I did 90 days from there, going backwards, because we can't have anything within that period of time. That brings us to roughly June 12th. So from June 12th on to September, we can't have any type of election. Then kind of get into we've got vacations and stuff planned in my office. So we'd like to be there for an election, however that may look. That would be Susan's gone that week of June 12th. She's also gone in April, the week of the 17th. I've decided to take some time off with my husband. Don't normally do that. So that's going to be the week of June 5th. So basically June's wiped out.
Okay.
Carrie, what's the lead time that the town has to let folks know when we're gonna have the special election?
So we have to warn an election. We follow the same rules as any other election. Did talk to someone today about all of that, and it is no less than 30 days and no more than 40 days that you need to warn it.
30 days.
So you have a target time for us.
So I do.
Okay.
It's not good. So I'm thinking the week of May 22nd.
God, we can have an election long before that.
No, we can't.
Ah,
Because you have to do petitions this brings more stuff to the plate. We're going to have to put on this ballot any open positions that are ready for election, which would be the delinquent tax collector and any other elected position. And I'm hoping that anybody that's listening knows the time crunch that I am under. And if you're deciding to put in any letters of resignation, you might want to do that like
Yesterday.
tomorrow. Because I need to get petitions signed. And I'm not kidding about this. Like this
No,
was
it's
like,
really.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
I need to get petitions signed for any open position 6 Mondays before an election is when they're due. So that would put us at April 10th in order to get that.
Okay.
This is why we can't have it in April.
So if we
There's
picked,
timing.
you've got the week of May 22nd,
Mm-hmm.
the Tuesday, which since we usually do Tuesday elections, so as not
It's
to
a select
confuse.
board day. I don't know if you really, that's gonna be a big problem in my office if we do it Tuesday, because I'm getting orders ready. Can we do it on a Thursday?
We could also have the select board meet the Monday before, and we would probably be doing an informational meeting the Monday before.
Okay,
And then you could
That's a
get
lot.
your orders signed. You'd have to tell everybody to get the stuff in a day earlier on the other end.
are you talking about having the select board the 22nd or the 15th?
Well, let's talk about the special election
Sure.
first.
Sure.
would that, if we did it on the Monday and had that special, informational meeting, would that be the meeting that we told the people?
I would,
Have the open meeting for,
I would expect there might be more than just that meeting, yeah.
okay,
So Tuesday, the 23rd of May.
That would be the target. That would be the
How do you
earliest.
folks feel about a Monday election vote or a Tuesday election vote?
I'd like to keep the voting on the Tuesday because people are used to that. And
Yep.
it would be easier for the board to move its meeting.
Yep.
Not to upset Carrie's apple cart too much, but if instead of having a board meeting on a Tuesday, if we had our board meeting on a Wednesday, it's easier for 5 people to rearrange their schedule and a few in the department heads than it is to try to get the town on, oh yeah, we got to vote on a Thursday or a Monday, I guess. But it would be a good idea to set a target date if in fact that's the route we need to go. We may not have to go that route. We don't you know, we're trying to figure that out.
Mhm.
We also have to try to figure out what the logistics and the schedule would be on getting something printed up if we're going to mail ballots out.
And
Because
there was
that's-
my next.
Yeah, okay.
So with the petitions coming in, possibly, and this is all, we don't know this yet, but we have to think about all of this.
Yeah.
Right.
If we say April 10th for petitions, I get nervous with that, even though that's 6 Mondays. I'd like to see petitions for any open positions come in April 3rd as a deadline, which is a Monday, or even the Friday before, because we have to print whatever we're making up, and we have to get them stuffed and print and get them out to people so that the mail has time to, number one, get them out, and then the voter has time to have them.
Right,
That's if we decide to mail out all of the ballots.
Right.
right.
So we will not, so I'm just, couple of things. We won't have time to have the tabulator do this for us. It's going to have to be hand counted. There's no time to get the cards made and ballots printed. So that is something to think about. Then, not only the timing that we have to think about, but there's so much that goes into this. We have to think about the supplies that we need for this. If we're going to mail them out, we're talking a good $2,100 in postage that we did not budget for. We need envelopes that we don't have. We checked that. We need to buy more labels if we're sending these things out. We're going to have to pay people to do this. And we didn't budget anything, so a discussion about where all of this money is going to come from will have to be had. In addition to what it's going to say and how it's going to be worded. And if that's the case, is Kevin going to be looking at it? And there's his
Another
time
glitch.
too.
Yeah. Okay, so let's back up. First of all, what do you need us to do tonight? And who is the one who decides whether ballots are mailed? Is it select board? Is it town clerk treasurer? Is it the Board of Civil Authority?
I think it starts with select board.
Okay,
I think.
Does,
The guidance that I got was very minimal. But from what I need you guys to do tonight, I would think is set a date, come up with what's going to be on there. That's why I said, if there's people that need to be on there, positions that need to be open, it has to be in my office this week. No kidding. Like,
well, we can't.
right.
Don't know. I mean, so let's just start with, we can set the date.
We can set the date.
And frankly, if we don't mail out the ballots and we just print them in-house and have people come in and vote paper ballots, the time crunch isn't as bad.
Correct. Can I put this out there, though?
Sure.
If we don't mail them to every voter, my worry, no matter what's on the ballot, is those people that don't want what's on the ballot will be the ones to show up, and the people that do will not pay attention.
That is exactly correct, and that is exactly what will happen.
So
Well,
there's two, it's up to you guys.
that's
I
an
don't-
assumption,
yeah,
you know.
But I'm
Well,
just putting that out there. So I
So
need a
let's
date.
start
we
with-
can assume anything, but all I want to say on that issue, and Kurt and I had a little disagreement there about, but I think it's apples and oranges. I mean, we have not had any problems of misuse of our voting process by anyone as long as I have known. I just haven't known any malfeasance. But I do know this. I won't say that I don't care what happens in the special election, because I do as an individual. But as a board member or as someone that is really concerned about the success of the town and the particular issue, since we have backed it as a board, it always is better. And I would be on the ballot because I intend to run for the position, and I had assumed that, Mary, regardless of what happens with appointments or whatever. The statute says
It'd be an open
the
position.
appointment is
That's
until
right.
the next special or regular
That's right.
election.
Right.
I would rather have the largest number of people in town deciding who the tax collector is, or whether we're gonna spend $5 million of money. I mean, it would give me confidence as a citizen going forward that the most people, the majority, not just a plurality of 25. I mean, we saw what happened in this last election. This was a town election and we only had 23%. What do you think you're going to get if you have a special election? You'll get less than 23%. And those will be the people that are deciding 5 million. I just don't like that. We've
Well,
got to encourage the
So
maximum.
let's break this in two pieces. And the first is, let's do a motion on setting the date for the special.
And then at some
Election.
point, we got to decide if we need,
Well,
That
at
is
some
all.
point, we've got to decide what goes on it.
right.
So,
But the only reason for the special election right now is the shortfall of funding for the building.
that's correct.
If we've come up with a way to pay for that without having to go back to the voters, then we don't need a special election.
No, that's not true, Joe.
Why?
I think we may.
They
just
voted
because
on-
the-
We may not.
Because the way it was worded,
But the way I read the article, Don, and the way it's worded is that the original ballot item said we were going to use $1.2 million in other amount for of the ARPA funds and $771,234 of the capital improvement with a bond not to exceed 2.1 million. Okay, if the board has allocated monies from the it didn't say there was a limit on them.
Oh,
So
okay,
so
so it's
board,
only the bond. that's
it's only the
involved.
bond that was limited to the 2.1 million. If the
Okay.
board were to vote to fund the shortfall out of the capital improvement fund, which is what I had suggested and I had talked about at the pre-town meet or the town meeting last week, whenever it was last week.
I think
Last
so.
week, I lost track of time. We have approved funds out of that for various projects without having, we spent money for the truck, we spent money for a roof on the the transfer station, the walking path. So if, as a board, we vote to fund the balance, and it's going to be somewhere between $1 million and $1.3 million. And in my numbers calculated, if, and I'm pretty close, that we're going to have close to $1 million, $1.1 million in that fund available after July 1st. I believe the board can do that because it didn't say we were only going to use this amount of capital improvement or this amount. I mean, we did as a board, we allocated those two funds. And then we said the amount of the bond. So what we're trying to
As
do, if
long as
we
the bond doesn't exceed
change,
that amount.
I believe that
Well,
the,
first of all, we haven't.
right, we haven't got there yet.
We haven't got there yet.
Right.
If we wait and find out July 1st, whether we have the money and we can do this.
I think that,
And we don't, then we've got a problem.
well, the other
We
thing,
haven't Talked
right.
with our town council,
right,
and we certainly want to clear it there because, we've told the townspeople, we're probably going to have to come to you for a vote.
right. But if
So,
that was the board's thought process, and
Yeah.
I have always anticipated that the vote would be to change the bond.
Yeah.
That was the one item in there that was specifically said not to exceed. So I do believe we have to run it by Kevin, would
Yeah.
be where I would start. I think that based on history and projected numbers and everything that I have been able to talk with Carrie and what we've seen, the funds will be available and we can move forward, but we have to decide that, and that's part of what was,
It says the cost not to exceed 4.146 million.
right. So that's the total building. So that may be where we have to
yeah.
ask for voter approval, that the cost would be
Right.
more than the 4.1.
That's what I was assuming.
Yeah.
So let's back to, is there a motion to
think we're
set
gonna
the
do it.
special town meeting?
Was the 23rd
For-
the earliest date, Mary?
No, I think the 22nd, which is the Monday, I'm suggesting that we stick with the Tuesday. Joey said Tuesday, probably better to stick with the Tuesday. So that's May 23rd for
Yeah.
the special election. Is there a motion?
Would the 30th save us a week, or is that?
We, I
Then you
am,
get into Memorial Day weekend and you
Yeah.
really don't.
Yeah, no, you don't want, never mind, never mind. Yep,
as it is in that
yep, never mind
that
on that.
couple of weeks, we're gonna be dealing with taxes
Yeah.
on the 10th
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
and then late taxes
Then that's when your tax collector has got to start doing.
as it is.
So- motion,
I move that we approve the 23rd,
23rd, May
23rd of
23rd.
May as a special election day.
Okay, second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Okay, any further discussion just on the day? If not, all in favor of setting May 23rd for the special election, please say aye.
I,
I,
Sharon?
Yep,
You
I
okay
said aye.
with that?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I can't hear.
I don't know.
So I think what you need to do, Sharon, is after you hear us all say aye, then say aye, because we're crowding you out, okay? Sorry.
There's a little delay there.
Okay, so motion carries. We're gonna set May 23rd for our special election on the fire station and whatever other open positions there may be at the time. Now, back to the question of ballots. And when does that decision have to be made?
You mean mail-in ballots?
Yeah.
In my opinion, and it's just an opinion, because I don't have anything in writing that says otherwise as a statute. As soon as possible, if it's going to be mail-in or not mail-in, because I'll have to order supplies for that.
Okay. Would these be supplies that you would use anyway for other elections? You're
I'm-
just getting them in advance?
Well, I looked at what we have left and, eventually we're going to need them anyway, but, if we're thinking of, we're gonna need more, obviously, sooner.
So
For things.
we're probably looking at like $4,000 or $5,000 by the time we pay postage, envelope, stuffing, and
Kind of am feeling that way too, a little bit.
Okay, fair estimate.
Yeah.
All right. So what's the,
so we could cut. I mean, if we don't do mail in, we're probably gonna cost, $1,000, $2,000 probably by the time we pay some ballot clerks and whatnot.
were you including the ballot clerk cost in the 5,000 estimate, 4,000 to 5,000?
Well,
'Cause that's gonna
just for like
get that out.
postage,
Okay,
we were estimating like $2,100 just for postage alone.
Okay.
So I would assume like $5,000 to include ballot clerks
Okay.
to run the election. I don't know if that's something we would discuss at a later time, how that would look.
Well, no, we can't do it. That's the Board of Civil Authority that does that. So do we mail out the ballots or no? And there's no motion on the floor about that yet.
I'll make a motion that we do not mail out ballots and we keep our normal town meeting structure.
All right, motion's been made not to mail out ballots. Is there a second to the motion? Is there a second? Any
I'm going
second?
to,
So
I've made a commitment in my life on this board.
there's no motion, Don. You
No,
can't-
I've made a commitment that I would never allow a motion not to be seconded for discussion, so I will second your motion.
Okay. All right, so the motion before you is not to mail out ballots. It's been seconded. Discussion.
Other
Yeah,
than the
I have
cost.
something to say.
Okay,
I respect how Kurt feels, but I also respect the more important thing, I believe, is that people have the opportunity to vote. And it has shown that when we mail the ballots out, people vote. I don't want to put a price tag on results of an election. I think it's important for people to vote. Now, you might say, well, they have all kinds of options, but you know what? People are personal. People have reasons for not going out. I just feel that the money should not be the issue. The issue should be our right to vote and the opportunity to vote. So that's where I come from.
Other discussion?
So we could probably, people could request absentees for this, like any other ballot, of course. So if they don't want to show up to vote, they can request a ballot mailed to them. And I just don't like the precedence of setting a town type election as a mail-in, because that's, people are gonna want that. Every March, we're gonna be stuck with that and the cost of that, and I'm not necessarily for the whole mail-in ballot. I think if people want to have a say and want to have a decision, then they can show up and vote and with due process like they're supposed to.
Well, if you stop and think of it, Kurt, if we get the percentage that we got in the town election in our annual meeting of 23%, it only takes 11.5% of the population to control whatever
We do.
item is on there, which is 5 million. And I am just definitely opposed to letting 11% of the people decide anything. I really am. And we
It's
don't
like-
have any control over it, but we can't use lack of participation as an excuse if we mail it out, because then they have the choice. They can let that thing sit on their table, or they can exercise their right to vote and send it in. But we can't be accused of not giving them every single opportunity and possible to vote. And I agree with you that it may set a precedent, or some people may think it sets a precedent, but I'm perfectly comfortable answering that complaint by saying, look, we're not saying that we want to mail out every single ballot, because generally November elections have great participation because people spend a lot of money advertising for office. And generally town elections have a greater percentage than 23. We usually get 35 to 36, 37% in a town meeting because we have contested elections, which we didn't have this time. So, you know, I didn't get to see Mary standing outside the post freezing her little tushy off out there campaigning. So there's reasons for that. But I can justifiably say to the people, the reason that we're doing it this time is this is a critical juncture for the town. It is a critical piece of infrastructure, and we really would like to have the maximum amount of participation by you voters. So please let us know what you feel by voting. That's all I'm saying.
So would anyone else like to weigh in that hasn't already spoken on this? Joey?
So this building has a cost of more than all of the town budgets, save for the school, put together. But if you put the school budget at 9 million and the town budgets that total up to around $12 million worth of expenditures for the town of Rutland were decided by what could be 10 or 12 or 13% of the people. And I think that that's not an acceptable number. And you know, I'm not concerned about who's going to be more motivated, whether it's the yays or nays for the building. That doesn't bother me as much as the fact that I think that by mailing these out, it echoes what Sharon said, what Don said, is that we need to give the opportunity out there. And, you know, if you could vote by computer some way, which I do foresee will be coming down the line, that there'll be some secure way that you can vote on a ballot from home by computer. So this technology will be there. We need to do the best we can to try to get as much input. I want 65% of the town's registered voters to vote yay for this bill, or 70%. I don't want 12 or 13% to vote for this. And that's just what happened. I mean, we just passed what, pretty near $12 million worth of ballots with 23% of the town's population, and the other 77% got to go along with it. And I mean, it's their own fault. You need to get out and vote. the apathy that's there, whatever it is terrible. So, that's just my point.
Okay, so the pending motion is not to mail out ballots for the special election. Are you ready to vote on that?
I am.
Okay. All in favor of the motion of not mailing ballots, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Aye.
Okay, so 3 against, 1 for, the motion fails. Now, do we have a motion then to
I'd move that,
mail out ballots?
I'd move that we mail out the ballots for the already given reasons for doing it.
Okay.
So we don't
I'll
have to have
second
that
that.
discussion.
I'll second that motion.
Motion's made and seconded, and if I understand it, just repeat all of the arguments again.
The argument's the same. Kurt's argument still stands.
I got one more thing.
Okay, go ahead.
If I
ahead.
shall, I was just didn't know how many other municipalities do send out for special elections.
Wait, I have no clue.
Carrie,
What's
I
the
do have,
name?
but not to interrupt. Carrie, is there anything in the state's voting rules through the Secretary of State that prohibit us from doing this? That's best you know.
No.
Okay,
But I know.
all right.
of
Other
it.
than and I understand Kurt's position about the thing, and I think he understands all the rest of us too, that we're trying to get the most votes on this. But I just want to make sure that by doing this, we're not violating some rule.
No, and I want to answer Kurt's question. Rutland Town is always a leader in the county.
Right.
So
Great.
I have no problems being a pace setter in this issue.
Okay,
And
so
the,
motion's been made to mail out the ballots for the special election. Is there further discussion?
beat us to death.
All right, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Sharon, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Here.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
So motion carries, and we're going to be mailing out the ballots for the special election. Is there anything else we have to decide tonight?
I don't want to take us more time because it's not fair to people, but I'm wondering, like, I'm going to have to get the supplies to do that.
Oh, okay.
You need some money.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
How
what?
much lead time do you need?
Well, I think I'm going to start tomorrow ordering some supplies to see, I don't know how long it takes for these envelopes to come from the state.
We got a
And-
pot of money that you suggested
Well,
it should come from?
I was thinking about this and, what about, I mean, this is for the public safety building, why not use the ARPA money? Since we're using the ARPA money for it anyway.
I don't know, is this an
Well,
included cost of the building?
It could be, and I was thinking the same
Soft
thing
cost?
along, one of the soft costs,
cost.
the trickle down effect of any open positions is just part of the technical stuff, and
Triggered because of the
and we do have some money set aside for that soft cost, so that would be a thing. The other thing is if you have a line item in the general budget for supplies, and if we overspend that, it shows a deficit in that, but I'm pretty sure the general budget won't be
Oh, right.
overspent.
Yeah,
So
right.
it might be better to keep things where they belong.
Okay,
And then whatever, if we're not going to deficit spend the general budget, we're just going to deficit spend that line item. And I think that looks better from an accounting
yeah,
point of view.
Yeah,
I've
I would
learned a lot
agree.
about accounting,
yeah,
in the last 7 years here about being accountable and having a very clear path.
yeah,
And I did, that was the same way when we were doing fire department
yeah,
budgets.
yeah,
Don't go to another line item if you need something,
That's
just
right.
overspend this. That shows two things. One, that you didn't budget enough for this
Uh-huh.
particular item, and two, that, you're trying to keep things where the,
be tracking.
and I think it makes your job easier. So that would be my suggestion. We take it from there.
Is the board okay with that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so I think you've got your direction on that.
right.
Okay,
And
we'll
yeah.
send it tomorrow.
Okay,
And then
so we have a direction, we have a date. We know we're mailing the ballots.
we have
know
no
it's
idea what we're saying yet.
We know what we're saying yet, but we've got to talk with town council, I
Right.
think, on that anyway. You dug out the the special warning for the meeting when we had it for the town highway garage,
I did, yeah.
which also included voting for a select board member.
Yes.
That was when Josh came on the board. So that's a pretty good template. So I think we're in fairly good shape.
We are in good shape.
And
Okay.
I appreciate the fact that you're thinking 8 months, 9 months, 6 months ahead.
Yeah.
You know, none of us are thinking about this. You know, the only thing I thought about is how long before we had to warn it.
Yeah,
But all of these other contributing factors to the downfall of the proper project,
Yeah.
you know, you screw up one and you're done,
I completely agree.
you know. And the other thing this does is this gives the contractor some
Yes.
idea
Yes.
of the time frame we're looking at right now.
And
Yeah.
that was my other question. Is there a deadline? But that's,
It's,
Not
it's,
my
you know,
problem,
I think we voted 4-1 2 weeks ago to commit to the
See,
building,
yeah,
commit to the
yes.
contractor and, you know.
And this is
and
the next step in that
Okay.
commitment.
So now they know we're there and they understand that we had to go back to the voters. And so, you know, think we're still okay. And that'll give them an idea what they can do
perfect.
with it. So I think we've covered all the bases the best we can.
So the
The-
content of it, that will be forthcoming?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we got to figure out what we're going to ask the voters to vote on,
Okay,
whether it's an increase
We
in,
gotta talk with town
you
attorney.
know,
on that
there'll be
too,
a couple of
so,
things there, as
yeah.
you pointed out. I missed that when I read that
Yeah.
over. But that's
Okay.
why there's everybody here looking at it.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay.
I am so sorry for taking that.
Oh,
much
no,
time.
no.
This is all necessary.
This was a
If
priority.
you didn't take it up
So-
now, we'd be doing it 2 weeks and with the crunch would be worse,
Right.
way worse.
We did a
So
special,
everybody's,
special select board meeting, so we didn't have to do one of those.
right, so.
Lawyers would classify this as time is of the essence.
Correct.
You
Okay.
doing your job the way that
Thank you,
you're
Carrie.
learning to do your job.
Yeah.
You know, when you first started, this might have slipped by you.
Do we have anything else for Carrie or?
No,
No,
other than a thank you.
Caught that little slide. little-
Oh, boy. Thanks.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Carrie.
Appreciate it. All right, Town Planning Commission Chair Barbara Noyes Pulling. Good evening, Barbara.
Good evening, everyone. Congratulations, Mary,
Thank you.
and thank you, Dawn, for your service.
Well, you're
as
very
chair.
welcome. Thank you, Barb.
Just a couple of things. Promise I'll be brief here so we can get back on pace, all right? The Planning Commission took a look at the draft ordinance Bill did for short-term rentals. He did a great job getting something crafted. So the commission is going through that. We hope to have a public meeting on it to get feedback and maybe some ideas, what should be in there, what should be taken out. We hope to have that April 20th. At least, I think that's what Bill and I are both going to put in our circle stories coming up for April. So that's on track. Typical of the Planning Commission, that they love every challenge they get, so they're really reading through the ordinance, and I think we'll have a few changes ourselves with Bill, but Bill did do a great job with that. We also, I think, put the finishing touch on the permit tracking ordinance, so we'll punt that back to you folks to finalize. I don't know how long that's been out there, more than a year at least. And the only other thing I think, the Energy Committee, the joint Select Board and Planning Commission Energy Committee meets again on Friday. And one of the things on the agenda is looking at what might be appropriate to add to the townwide celebration, energy-wise.
Okay.
And that's about it.
The meeting of the Energy Committee on Friday is at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, 1
So
PM.
all are welcome to join us. So we don't need to do anything on the short-term rental ordinance other than maybe pass along any comments we have to the planning commission. Is the planning commission that's going to be holding the public hearing on this, correct?
Well, yeah, we will hold one. It's not required by
Right.
statute. Yeah, so that all belongs on your side of the court, doing all that statutory stuff.
Okay, and the permit tracking ordinance, were there any changes? When was the last draft? Kurt has it.
The draft is on your desk,
Okay,
and it highlights the word we're removing. That was the only additional change.
okay, found it.
And that was the one that you noticed, Mary, about the enclosing of animals. We should probably strike the animal part of that.
Is the,
My only concern was
Yeah.
the amounts, and I've mentioned that before. There's no sense of beating a dead horse. It's just, that's just a question of what the town, how much income the town wants to generate from the permits that'll be required for this, to support the administration that'll take place, and we will need administrative, obviously, administrative time, and enforcement time. But I kind of feel that it was partially at least addressed by the pretty stiff penalties for non-compliance with the thing. I mean, the penalty section is pretty heavy.
You
Which is
think
good,
that's good or bad?
which is, I think it's good, you know, because then it discourages avoiding
Compliance.
the parameters of the program. I just don't think that the base fees in this thing, based on the income that's being made, are high enough. That's
so
all.
direct me to where the permit application fees are.
There aren't any.
There aren't
Oh.
any. There's no fee for the permit.
There is no fee for the permit.
There's only a
the
fee for
registration.
not
Okay.
getting one.
Correct.
Oh, well,
See, we're being very
Okay.
proactive.
The fee, and that was
Okay.
not, that was, if I remember correctly, because that makes it too over the line to a zoning permit.
Right.
okay,
So
Say that again, Bill?
we can't charge, if we had charged a fee in the past, and that was the whole issue the mall brought up, because it was charged by square footage, and
oh,
that got challenged, and then it went away.
Right.
So there's no permit fee, and there has not, there.
This is more informational, but if
the
you don't,
information is more valuable than the fee we
Than
would
the fee.
collect.
do you folks want to vote on this tonight?
I do.
We
Didn't
do that next meeting.
didn't
I just
Killington
wanna-
have a fee?
Make sure I
Bill?
double check through all this.
We
I
have
haven't read
zoning.
through it in
Oh,
a few months.
Yeah,
okay, so they did it
I
under
missed
zoning.
that. I just want to make sure I read through it one more time.
okay,
I
so the
can
request is to put it on next meeting's agenda for a vote?
Make sure I can
Who-
highlight.
Who did that?
I did.
Good.
Oh,
Because it was on the desk and he hasn't,
I haven't,
Okay.
I haven't flipped through that in a little while.
I thought it
and
was in
think
the
I-
packet, Bill.
no, that was the
No,
on the
because
desk.
The planning commission didn't do their part of it until Thursday night, which was after the packets went out. So
Yeah.
the only,
Okay,
this is
yeah.
the exact same draft everybody saw, except the word animal is taken out. That's the
Okay,
only change.
I gotta go through and I thought there was some stuff I
So-
wanted to point out, so I gotta reread that.
okay, so unless there's strong objection, or unless somebody makes a motion, we'll put it on the agenda for
I
next
don't
select
think
board
it's
meeting.
that critical right now.
Okay,
It's not
Okay,
building
so-
season. Yeah.
okay. Anything else, Barbara?
No, sounds good.
Okay, thank you very much. The select board have any questions or comments for Barbara?
Thanks, Barb.
Thank you.
Okay,
Take care,
thanks.
Sharon.
Thank you.
Dave Sears, Road Commissioner.
Plow guy.
He is, I can see. All right.
Huh?
He's muted.
He's muted. Uh-oh.
He'll unmute.
He might have fallen asleep. He's
That
probably been
last-
4 o'clock this morning.
Dave
Oh.
Sears, it's your turn.
Wait a minute.
Here we go. Okay.
Hey, hey,
Good.
Nope.
Muted himself again.
Oh,
Can you unmute him?
Okay,
No, I can't.
Oh, you
No.
can't do it from your end?
unmute
that's a
again,
good
Dave.
thing.
Touch him, but I can't do that.
Yeah.
Here, let me see if I can call him.
No, he's.
We've
Oh,
got this
hello?
funny little thing going on where your box lights up, but oh
Oop.
wait, you're unmuted. Go ahead, give it a try.
How about now?
No,
You've got a bad connection.
his internet is Gonzo.
All right.
I don't
Yeah.
know if it's home or-
So why don't
Yeah.
we skip over Dave for the time being and see if you can get a better connection and we'll put you back on.
Again.
Okay. Mike Rowe, Town Rec Director.
Good evening, all. Congratulations, Mary. Thank you, Dawn,
Come on.
Sharon. Sharon, I hope you're feeling
Good afternoon.
better.
I am. Thank you, Mike.
I don't really have anything. Just that signups have started for our spring sports, so I would encourage people to go ahead and sign up. Like I said, Bill has that wonderful online sign up, so that could be a great start for people to start signing their children up for our spring sports. That's all I got, unless you, oh, and thank you for all your hard work and getting all of our budgets passed. That was huge.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Good.
That's a big win for
It looks
everybody.
like Spring
Con-
sports season out there, doesn't
I
it?
know. Yeah, it's just, we used to
It's
shovel
gonna
off
happen.
the
Joe,
sports.
Joe, you want to be out on that tractor just as much as I want to be on the field. So
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
also realistic.
Thank you, Mike.
All
It
right,
looks
thanks.
Thank
like
you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Dave might be ready to try again.
How about now?
Yeah.
Okay, give it
You
a
got me?
try.
Yes,
Now we're good?
yeah.
Okay. So I'm either on my way to laryngitis or I'm reverting to a 13-year-old. So you may have to bear with me a little bit. I kind of squeak. So as you can see, me and Zoom technology are not friends. So I got kind of started on this a little bit late. So I'm assuming that you saw your orders and signed them. In there was an order for a check for our truck, for the new truck for the highway department. They're gonna bring us to one truck. Hopefully they deliver it, which would be really nice. So that was the check for 57.55, I believe it was. So that would be our first truck in our move toward having our own fleet.
Okay.
Is it the right
anything
color,
about that?
Dave?
What's that?
Is it the right color?
It depends on if yellow is the right color or not.
Ah, shucks. That was close.
I asked a question about color about 5 years ago on highway truck and Byron reacted. So we'll just, whatever color is good, okay?
This one's yellow, but the other one's red, so it's like a 50-50 thing. Just roll with it.
Well,
Okay.
close enough. We'll take what we can get.
Well, at least
it's
not OD green.
Well, the
Yeah,
thing
no,
is,
it's
if
not
you
pink.
have a complaint with a town truck and it's a red truck,
Yeah.
you got 3 choices, but now it's gonna like stick out.
Right.
Yeah, that's there's some truth there, and that's the truck that I'm going to drive. So hopefully there's no complaints. But
There you go.
and if there is, I can say, well, all our trucks are red. I don't know what you're talking about. I can see you with red spray gun up in the garage, Dave. That's for sure. Well, that could happen. Could buy a couple cases of bomb cans and have at it. The last couple of weeks, we've been a little bit busy with administrative stuff, really. The class 2 paving grant was submitted to the state for East Pittsford Road. So hopefully we hear from that pretty soon. The paving bid was sent out, I believe it was last week. So just for your calendars, it's due in on the 23rd of this month. There's a committee meeting, which will be announced soon, I'm sure, Bill, for the 24th, March 24th, to open the bids.
And then it'll be up to the select board for the 28th for the award.
Okay.
Questions?
None from me. Any select board members have any
Uh,
questions?
I don't have a question, but I would like to make a motion that we allow the road commissioner to fill the third person that was approved on the budget, and also to initiate the on-call rotation within his department that he had asked for in the new budget.
I'll
Okay.
second that motion.
Okay.
And I'm assuming to make it start right now, even though we're in
Right,
the
and
current budget, but we've got the money to do
I'll
it.
explain why I'm doing this.
Okay, motion's been made to move to the on-call program immediately and also to fill the, is it third position in the
It would be
highway
the third
department?
position. It'll be fourth overall,
And who
third.
seconded?
I did.
Yeah.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded, so discussion.
So the reason I'm making this motion now is because the next few months are really busy for the town, April, May, June. And if we wait till July 1st, Dave's gonna lose a quarter of the year basically for having an additional person. The other reason is we budgeted monies for the road commissioner position and the number 2 position for the previous owners of those positions. The 2 current holders of those positions, Dave Sear and Jason, are at a different salary rate than what Byron and Walt were. So there's an excess of some probably 12 or 20,000 roughly between the 2 together. It's in, I don't know the exact numbers. So what this will allow us to do, Carrie would start a new number for the number 3 position for that individual and for the on-call fees for the weekends. We will be deficit spend. We don't have the money allocated, but the budget does. And highway is that unique budget where come June
Carry it
30th,
over.
whatever's left is just rolled into the pool and you do whatever. So I think this has multiple benefits. It will allow the highway crew to expand by the 1 person that Dave feels he needs right off on his time schedule of however he does it, previous interviews, new interviews, or however. And also the on-call thing I think is important because it'll start a rotation of the individuals that are on there at whatever closing time is Friday. Somebody will be the designated carrier of the town phone and they will be on call. So if we have a storm and they need to call out the crew, or if a tree comes down, the police department notices something, they need highway, and then Dave will set up the protocol for how that's going to work. So if it's a situation where the person on call can go out and handle it, they will, but then there will be some kind of protocol that if it needs to, like if you're going to be doing tree cutting and saw work, it's in the best interest of safety that there be 2 people. So there will be they will have a schedule figured out, whether it's the person that was on call last week or the one that's coming on next week, but you can figure that's technical stuff. But I think it's important that we have that because right now all the calls are going to go to Dave and then he's going to have to figure it out. And it would just be nice for the guys, and we had allocated $100 per weekend for the 52 weekends. So that individual that's on call will get $100. And then if they do get called in, I think there's already hourly minimum hours. It's either 2 or 3 or 4, whatever they get if they get called in. So all of that stuff I think is in place. So that's the reason why I thought we should
Okay,
initiate that now.
any questions or further discussion on the motion? This is to start the rotation, the weekend rotation, and add the 3rd highway person in this year's budget ASAP.
You okay with that, Dave?
Yeah, I'm totally fine with it. I mean, we have 2 big projects that are going to kick off as soon as it stops snowing sideways on us. And the sidewalk, post road sidewalk is number 1. And then we've got the town line road paving project. Not going to take a whole lot of participation from our department, but it's going to take some oversight. And if I'm doing that, I'm not on post road I'm kind of envisioning these two projects working simultaneous. And the post road sidewalk is kind of an involved project. So if I had, another person, that would be huge, really, to get these two projects done expediently and get ready to, see what the summer brings.
Okay, are you ready for the vote on the motion?
I am.
All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Sharon?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. So go
Very
ahead
nice.
and hire and start the rotation. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anything else, Dave?
I got plenty. Usually I'm fairly brief, but this is going to be a long one. Well, not really a long one, but so the tier 2 reporting got done. I'm not sure if you understand what that is. That is with the emergency management department with the state. We have to report all of our chemicals, i.e. gasoline, diesel fuel, engine oil, whatever. It goes on, and the list goes on and on forever. So that's an annual thing. It has to be done by March 1st. That was done. They updated the reports and submitted it. And I haven't heard anything back like, oh, you screwed that up. So, and they usually do that pretty quickly because I screwed it up before. So I think we're good there. Kind of backtracking a little bit to snow. Contractors, we're at 38 calls as of today. We're going to be in again tomorrow, probably about 4 o'clock. When I get done with this, I got to look at some weather and some radar and figure out what I'm going to do. But probably going to have everybody come in, 3, 4 o'clock tomorrow morning. So we'll be at 39 calls. As you know, the magic number is 43. Not sure if we're going to get there or not, but we're a month and a half ago, I totally said we weren't going to get there. So we're knocking at the door right now. Right now, and this goes back again to the orders. Next pay cycle will be the last systemic pay item for the contractors. We will have them paid for the year as of the next pay cycle. And then we have just a quick the second half of the fuel stipend that we decided to give them back in, I believe it was the first part of November. I got to do some calculations on that and figure out where we end up with that. So there'll be basically 2 more payments to the contractors, and that will be the end of it for this fiscal year. And that be it.
Once we get over the 43 calls, then they will go on the per call
Correct.
system, which I think that's around, it's 54 a mile. I think that's
$54 a mile. Yes, sir.
whatever we put in. Okay. So, but that'll be boom. And
Yeah,
I'll bet you we'll
Go ahead.
make it.
Yeah. Any other
think
questions?
I think we're kind of
for
good.
Dave?
I looked at the extended forecast. Once we get out of this week, we got a little something predicted for next week, like a little overnight thing. And then from there out, we're in like the mid 40s. So we may actually come out of this thing all right.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
if you're a contractor, I'd like to see it end now for them. but-
Well, we're going to hold you to your previous estimate anyway, Dave.
Well, I
It's looking
hope
good.
you do.
About 2 weeks. Oh, yeah.
Okay, if
Thanks.
there's nothing else from the select board? Okay.
Thanks, Dave.
All right.
Thanks
Thank you,
very
Dave.
I would like to
much,
thank
and-
you and congratulations, Mary. I should have done this in the beginning, but and Don, thank you for bringing me into the big top. It's been a ride. And Sharon, I hope you're feeling better.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks.
Thank you, Dave.
All right, guys, have a good night.
You
Yeah,
too.
see ya.
Okay, Ed Dumas, Town Police Chief. I'm sorry I skipped over. Take it out of my pay.
So last cycle, we had 78 calls, 7 traffic stops. Most of our calls came from the south end of town once again.
Really?
Imagine that.
How is that though, Ed, relative to previous? Is it still less though?
Well, if you look, I sent, the sheet,
Yeah.
2023,
Okay,
Okay,
if you look at it,
this is the 2-pager?
yes.
Okay,
This just gives you the up-to-date one, the last one for the last January and February, what we had for calls, and then you can compare to the other years. 2019 was 18, 2020 was 12, 2021 was 39, 2022, 97, and this year we dropped to 93. So I guess we're gaining,
Mm.
maybe.
Seems to be a steady increase.
It
Well,
does, doesn't it? It
yeah.
doesn't seem to slow down. There's quite an article they had on the Digger in reference to the homeless population.
Yeah,
with-
there's
Sent
gonna be
that over
another
to the
one
board.
coming in 7 days because they called me. I don't know if they called you.
I don't. I-
7 days called and they're gonna do an extensive one, but that was quite a lengthy article. in
was.
the,
No, had some
Digger.
good points and not, I didn't agree with all of them, but she had some really good points too.
I was reading it and somehow I lost it.
Oh,
So I have to talk to my technical helper to see if I can retrieve it or have him send it to me again. I don't know what I did, but I hit something on my phone. and it was gone. Just like that.
And the other thing, I guess I had, second. So Deputy Chief Washburn put it, I sent we got something in the mail about more grants. It was a congressional direct spending through Senator Sanders. So Deputy Chief Washburn looked at it, made some phone calls. They all recommended that we do it. And we do it not under emergency operations building, but under another part of the thing.
good.
So he
Yeah.
put in for the 1.3 million,
Okay.
and that would, if we get it, it would cover all the costs of the building, so.
Very good.
Do you know an award time on that? Any kind of time frame?
We don't, I suspect, I have no idea.
Yes.
So I have this is a question that may be premature, but let's say we figure out how to make up the shortfall. And we get awarded this grant.
Yep.
Can we pay back or do we have to refuse it? Would you have any idea on that?
I think we're kind of like robbing Peter to pay Paul right now.
Well,
We're
well,
paying in
I'll give you a
installments
I'll give you a
anyway,
hypothetical.
So we wouldn't have spent out everything by. the
No, but
time
let's
the
say-
grant came in.
Let's say we go to the voters and I have what I feel is the solution. And I think we can do it, is that we make up the shortfall from the capital improvement fund.
Right.
And the voters approve this. So I'm just reaching out there and they approve that. This grant comes through. Can we reimburse, put that, because this is for the construction of the building, right?
Right.
Could we accept the grant and
Put the-
just, and basically use the grant in place of because we say the grant comes through in August. The voters approve this in May. They can start construction as soon as they can, and then we could either take this money and put it back into the capital improvement, or just use this money to do the building and not use the capital improvement. That may have to be reflected in the vote,
I was just making a note to ask Kevin if we needed to
because-
add some language like that.
I'd like to reduce the amount bonded, but you can't do that because you're gonna have to already pull the bond by the time you're gonna do that.
not necessarily.
No,
Because
We've got
we've
the
got,
ARPA funds.
we've got $2
first.
million of money,
Yeah,
we could do, not to exceed, so.
Well, you
We-
can only apply for the bond once a year, right?
okay.
No, but we don't apply for if we. May 23rd, we get voter approval to move forward with whatever plan we put out there. We don't have to go to bond right off. We have $2 million plus, let's say, we get another 1.1 or 1.2 from the capital. So we have like almost $3.3 million of this building. We don't have to go to bond. What we have to do is project when we're going to need it, and then you backtrack, and that's when you go to bond. Well, this grant comes through. Now we can say, okay, we don't need it says not to exceed. We could put the grant toward it, put the other monies, and only do the bond for, well, it would only be like 800,000.
Well,
That's what
would
I'd
be-
like to do.
that
is
would be fine.
Reduce the amount bonded. so
Right,
That would be
here's
even
another
better. I like
theory
your
for
idea.
because you
Yeah.
cannot pay down the
And
bond.
Joe,
Huh?
something else that you gotta think about is that we may not need to go to bond at all because we're not
This comes-
prohibited from
Just borrowing money.
using bank financing.
Right.
Yeah.
Whatever we find is cheaper.
Well, it's not only cheaper, but you gotta look at the timelines too, because
Yeah,
right.
the timelines on this bonding thing are not the same as if you go to a bank. You go to a bank and as soon as you get approval, you got the money.
Right.
and you can also pay off if you have a bank
That's
mortgage.
right.
you can pay
If
off
we
sooner.
get, if we get
Right.
1% money that is in excess in a future year, we can pay that bank loan off, boom, just like
Right.
that.
So there's
Boy, the whole mess
the
of it.
financing end of it is,
Yeah.
there's a lot of, so
Um,
I'm hoping
so-
we're be.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much we can settle today.
No, but
No, we
it's
But
just
that
make
reminds
sure
me
we're
to
getting
ask
it out
Kevin.
there,
We gotta think about all that before we put together
the ballot
the
item.
ballot item.
Yeah, okay,
Not to interrupt you, but
No, that's fine.
okay.
it's just,
That is,
Well, thank Deputy Chief Washburn for all his good work.
yes.
yes, he is quite an asset to the town.
Yes, indeed.
That's all I have. If you have any questions? let me
Any
know.
questions of select board members?
You know, when is your vehicle coming? You know, when, or you,
Haven't heard,
about the same time it stops snowing?
probably.
Okay.
That'd be good.
That's probably a little sooner than it's probably
Yeah.
coming.
See what, we'll take bets on what's gonna happen first.
Sometime next year.
Yep. Again, I'd like to thank Don, thanks for in the chair and all of you guys for what you did for the police department and the difficulties we had itself in the town and how you supported the police department and all of us greatly. Thank the people that work for us because I know that some of them are putting in quite a few hours. Hopefully we can,
Do we know what the numbers are at the Cortina right now?
how many people? I don't know. I think there's over 100 rooms, at least 100 rooms.
Okay,
And the latest things I've read, heard so far is that it looks like the funding, they found money to the end of June.
well, but that isn't what we expect. We expect that'll be closed down as the end of March.
That's what they
That's-
told us.
That's what it
Right.
goes, and then I guess we get to go back to you folks could go back to the drawing board. I told you my suggestion of time to double it at that point in time, and we'll move forward from there.
Okay,
Well, we've got an agreement which calls for at least the same amount of payment, and, you know, we would rely on you.
Right.
Following March 31st, go down there the first week of April and see if he's still got vouchers in there the first week of April.
Right.
We,
And that triggers 22.5 immediately.
well, the thing is I find it very difficult to believe that they're gonna displace and remove 140 rooms worth of people just like that.
not-
They're just gonna keep,
and if the number is at 100 right now, they're not moving in the direction that I was hoping for.
No, they're not. And
Okay.
and I'd like to say something. They are moving some of them down from Chittenden County.
Hmm,
Where I work, this is what we know. They're starting to move them out of there and down here. So
Yeah.
obviously,
Chittenden,
they're not saying,
Bennington,
they're trying to get rid of them.
Brattleboro, Barry.
So.
I think what you're finding is that what we're asking is a cost-effective cost of business
yeah,
for these motels,
Yeah.
and they're willing to absorb that,
so.
to have what the state's paying, because that's guaranteed money.
Well, let me ask the next question. Let's assume that they keep housing folks through June. How are our police services holding up to provide that? All of the patrolling down there? You guys, can you stick it out for another 3 months?
I can. I
Good.
know there's been some cutbacks. Officers have families and I don't expect them to do what I do. And they also have children that get sick, so there's that. And we're looking at probably at some point in time in the future, our grant position for another police officer. Well,
Yeah.
There's a lot of them out there right now. We're just kind of waiting on that. We batted around and talked about it, but we're kind of.
We've kind of had a plan in mind for the future that
A lot of it
would
depends.
be a 5-officer department.
I'm looking at 6 for the long term.
Yeah.
Not right now, but
Right, but-
little steps, baby steps as we go forward. The biggest thing is we don't have a place to do business at this point.
Right.
We'd have to get a trailer and continue on.
Right, I
Okay.
mean,
School bus.
I mean, that's the whole reason we're working overtime to try to get you a
People that
building.
put a yurt up on Town Line Road. Maybe we could get some yurts. In there.
Well, I would prefer
Put it right in
that
the middle of the parking lot down there in the plaza. You have a yurt, you can do your business.
we move.
I want to tell you, Ed, that stay tuned for this 7 days article because seriously, this gal that interviewed me, the Chelsea, and I can't remember her last name right now, but she was very, very concerned about the law enforcement aspect and how it had been received by the businesses and how it had been received by the people. And she also wanted to know about Anil Sachdev, because of the article that was in Digger, probably.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I really didn't have anything bad to say about him as far as, I'm talking about the board's ability to negotiate with them and
Right.
it was all straightforward up front, and he agreed to certain he made agreements that he kept, and we made agreements that we're trying to keep, and
We
we
don't
are
have a
keeping.
fence yet, though.
Huh?
We don't
Have
have
a
a fence.
Hard to put it in right now.
I know, it's
The
okay.
ground's not froze.
Right.
Don't let them give you that excuse.
Yep.
I have
Mary?
personal experience.
Sharon,
Mary? Yeah, you asked me to give you kind of a heads up when I about had the radish, and I'm
yes,
I'm
please.
running short of steam, so if there's anything we need to vote on, I'd like to go to that. I hate to interrupt, but I'm really running out of steam.
So, well, we've got the water allocation request. That's not huge. We've got the list of town officials post-election. I don't think we're going to make any appointments on that tonight. We do have the pending delinquent tax collector
We ought to
vacancy.
do that.
Um,
So can we
so
do that? Go ahead.
here's the question. In the past, we have interviewed the candidates. And that's one way we could go if we interviewed the candidates, say next week, Tuesday. Or we could, I don't know, we could probably go into a brief executive session, interview the candidates.
Either that or ask
Briefly
them if
now.
they want to be interviewed I mean,
We've got two candidates, two folks who have applied for delinquent tax collector. That's Don Chaffee and Chris Howland. So,
can we- Is Chris Holland at the meeting?
Chris is on Zoom. So
Okay,
we
so
could,
why can't we interview tonight and take care of it, and then I can get off?
we can. If
Uh,
that's the
all right.
pleasure of the rest of the board.
okay. Don, would you have any difficulty with us doing this
No.
this way? Maybe ask Chris.
Okay, Chris, is that okay with you if we interview you
Fine with me.
tonight? Okay, so let's do this. We'll do a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of interviewing candidates. Sorry.
I was just making sure you're all set.
Okay, all right, thank you. And we'll take Don first because he's right here, and then we'll ask him to leave, and then we'll have Chris on. And for the purpose of facilitating, can we leave Bill in the room?
Yes, please.
Okay, so is there a motion to that effect?
So move.
So
Second.
moved.
Motion made and seconded to interview the two candidates for delinquent tax collector,
Can we have a brief?
beginning first with Don after a brief recess. All in favor? Please
Aye.
say aye.
Aye.
Will be an
Aye.
executive session as a personnel matter. Anyone opposed? Is that an aye, you don't want to do it that way, or aye, it's okay to do it that way?
It's an I want to do it.
Okay, okay. So we're in executive session after a brief recess.
All right, Mary.
Okay, here
We
they
lose-
come. Okay, so we're out of executive session. And I'll ask the select board item under new business B, board to discuss filling the pending delinquent tax collector vacancy. We have interviewed separately each of the two people who requested appointment. And are you ready to make an appointment this evening, select board? And if
Yes.
so, somebody can make a motion.
I would move that we appoint Don Chaffee to fill the delinquent tax collector position with the retirement of Jim Schultz. That position would be held until an election or a special election.
Second.
Is there a second to that motion?
I seconded it, Mary.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. I think the position would, Jim retires the March 31st, so the position would start April 1st.
Yep.
Any discussion?
Yes,
You're,
I would intend to not resign on April Fool's Day. So my resignation would come the 31st, so I will be able to attend our next select board meeting.
okay,
Fair enough. Because you won't officially be tax collector till April
Right.
1st.
That's
Okay.
correct.
all right. I think that's
That's a good point of order.
that. Okay, Don.
All right,
Okay, motion's been made to appoint Don Chaffee as delinquent tax collector beginning April 1st and until an election can be held to fill out the term of our retiring delinquent tax collector. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
aye.
Sharon?
Aye. Aye.
Okay, the
I would
motion
like to,
carries and Don is.
I
of
would like to
course,
abstain from the motion.
abstaining. Okay, so congratulations, Mr. Delinquent Tax Collector.
So-
Okay.
At this time, I would.
Yes.
Do we need a motion to post the vacant select board seat? Or do we just?
Let's do that.
Okay, I would move at this time that we post the pending vacant select board seat that will be vacated on the 31st of March.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to post the soon-to-be delinquent select board seat. Don will be resigning on March 31st because the position is incompatible with delinquent tax collector.
Should we figure out a date of when we're going to appoint?
We have, the usual process is we ask people to apply or express interest.
Oh.
And then we interview, and again, we've got the special election coming up, so they would be
Yeah.
probably being expected to run for the position too.
Right, so by the 11th of April. That's because if we post it now, we'll have plenty, that'll give people plenty of time.
Okay,
Should we
Yeah,
plan for
almost a month.
For interviewing the
And we'll do, we can either schedule interviews. We've done in the past, if we got a number of people, you might want to do them start at like 5 o'clock
Yeah.
that night and do the interviews first.
what about if the letter of interest comes in by April 7th?
7th, okay,
So we have time to
look at
know
them.
who's applied on the 11th and
Right,
maybe
and then we
set up
can-
the-
Then we can set up an interview schedule if we have,
Okay.
with it, knowing that we only had two, we
He
could
has to
easily
resign
incorporate.
from select board,
Oh, they're talking about filling the select.
so
board
they're
seat.
filling the.
Chris, Chris, you're not being muted. Okay.
Thank you.
So the motion's been made to post the soon-to-be delinquent select board position and invite people to apply with the deadline of April 7th.
Can I ask a question, Mary?
Sure, yeah.
With the closeness of the special election on the 23rd, do you really need to make an appointment at all?
Or
Well,
would you
that's
just leave it
another
open?
Kevin question, but April 11th still is more than a month before the May
We've got like
23rd.
4 meetings in there.
Yeah, so.
It might be a good idea.
let's
And the other
prepare
thing
it
is
this way.
if we appoint somebody, that gives a person a chance to get their feet wet.
Yeah.
And decide whether they wanted the job. And it also gives the public a chance to know who the person who's out, give them a little bit of exposure.
No,
So
I was just
Yeah.
wondering about timing, that's all.
Yeah, no.
that's
it's-
fine.
Yeah, because they'd have to have their petition in by April 10th, right? Wasn't that what Carrie was saying? Yeah, so
Yeah.
we can't. How are we gonna do that?
We may have to do
Good
the,
point, yeah.
okay, so we may have to go for April 4th for the,
Because if they're
have a
gonna,
special meeting to appoint.
because if they're gonna run for the special election, they have to have their petition in by the 10th.
By the
Yeah,
time.
but we're not, requiring.
Well, let me
that-
ask you a question.
A vacant seat has to be voted on by in that,
That's right. A
that way.
vacant seat will have.
and
to be
they
voted
have to
on
get a
in there.
petition to be on that ballot.
Right.
Let me ask a question. Would it help?
Okay, but hey, Mary, I'm gonna get off. Do you need me to vote or?
No, I don't think so.
I don't
Excuse
think
me.
it's anything too.
Yeah, I think.
All right.
So it's not about you calling in from home.
Oh, sorry.
Bye.
Okay, thank you very much, Sharon.
Don't want the job.
You're welcome.
up.
Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
Sharon.
Have a good night,
Thanks for
Sharon.
the
Okay.
Kind
Night, Sharon.
words too.
Thank
I
you.
mean,
You're acting very clerkly now.
No, I'm acting like I,
Clerkly.
Berkeley.
So
No,
my
but-
Yeah,
question
your
to you
question.
was, my pending question was, would it help the timing of this if I resigned sooner than that and didn't attend the next meeting? I mean, well, if,
I
Yeah.
think the fairest thing to do would be just hold your position open till the election.
it's possible, I'm trying to remember, I didn't look the statute up, but Kevin had told me, I think the word is forthwith. On the select board seat that we have to fill a vacancy forthwith. So can we wait 6 weeks? Can we
Yeah.
wait 2 months?
Don-
Which is
if-
really what
yes,
we're
I'll
talking about.
give you the history of that because I happen to have been a litigant in the process of
Yeah.
forthwith. Which took, forthwith ended up being months
Yeah.
and months until I went to court to say, that's not forthwith. And the judge simply agreed with me, but it had been months
Yeah,
that they didn't appoint Rod when Fred died. Months,
Yeah.
because there was a 2-2 deadlock on the board. And that's pretty much why the statute was written that way, was to prevent deadlocks. I mean, that's why we have an odd number on the board. That's why I'm
I think
saying,
it'd be difficult to operate with an even number of people.
I
there,
mean, I'll stay until whenever you want,
But if you step
but you
down,
need 5 people on this board.
if you step down now, theoretically, we could interview people and appoint somebody on the 28th.
we could, yeah, to take effect.
I mean,
April
you
1st.
guys are, you're talking 3 meetings,
I know,
I know, but
you know, and I think the easiest way for all that is to just, that's more than 3, Kurt.
it depends on where we are. Yeah.
Yeah, well, because Don will still be here the 28th, so you got the 11th, the 25th, the 9th, and then the election would be on the 23rd, so maybe you'd have that Monday.
Yeah, it would actually be only one more meeting.
It's not really that far away.
well,
Is
If
this
we-
something that
I mean, there,
we need to get advice on?
we might need to get advice on it.
I mean, if we
We
appoint,
could post it. I mean, what I'm trying to do is, just make sure everybody understands the position is open, and this is one way of doing it. And inviting people to apply for the position, get a taste of what is involved. Can we wait and not be sued? Well, even if we were sued, for heaven's sake, it's only two months
that's the
until.
thing.
Who's gonna sue us?
So I have the language if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
Okay,
so when must a vacancy be filled? It says the law requires the select board fill a vacancy forthwith. Unfortunately, the law does not define what exactly forthwith means. When interpreting statutes, courts aim to implement the intent of the legislature and will presume that it is intended the plain, ordinary meaning of the word, which can be taken from the dictionary as immediately, without delay, or directly, promptly, within a reasonable time under the circumstances.
Reasonable time under the
that's very
circumstances.
reasonable.
One meeting is
still-
not.
So essentially, we would just we'd advertise that we're looking for petitions.
Yeah,
We'd advertise that we're looking for someone to come on the board. And then we'd make it known during the interview that we would expect they would be petitioning, having a petition and running.
I would just advertise as we have a vacancy on the select board. We're looking for petitions due by April 10th for a special election on May 23rd, and you put them on the ballot and people check the box.
That gives
and
us,
here's the thing.
We
that you
operate
have to
for
consider,
4
we had
meetings
2
without-
positions open.
actually,
This past election, we had 2 positions open. Nobody applied to run for either one of them,
Yeah.
except the incumbents. So the only people that would be pressing on you for an appointment for 2 weeks would be somebody that really wanted to be a select board member, and we didn't have anybody that wanted to be. And
No, no,
And-
it's not 2 weeks. No, let's not, because if the person came in, it's probably gonna be a month and
It would be the 25th would be their first meeting, and then you're gonna have,
unless. we
Well, it
had a
depends on
special
when,
meeting.
it depends on when we
Yeah.
appoint them.
and
I mean,
really,
we could appoint somebody as soon as the 28th of this month, if we wanted.
Yeah.
Letters of intent, and then they
Yeah.
would be on the board for. They would be the 11th, the 25th, the 9th, and then the meeting, the 23rd meeting, we decided was gonna be Wednesday
Yeah, no,
or Monday,
Tuesday.
oh, I think we're gonna do it on Monday.
Monday, so the 22nd, so they would be basically a 10-4 meeting.
Yeah.
Which, to cover what the statute says, might be more correct than waiting.
Then appointed.
Than waiting appointment. So that would be my suggestion. We advertise a position. It goes out as soon as possible this week. Anybody that's interested, make it known to us by the 28th. If we get multiple people, we'll start the meeting a little early, do the interviews and appoint someone, and they, and
Okay, so I'll take that as a motion. Anybody want to second it? We lost Sharon.
yeah, so it's up to us three. One of you two is either gonna second it or
I don't know. I still like putting it on the.
Oh, it's gonna be on the.
It'll be on the
It'll
ballot.
be on the
Yeah,
ballot
no,
anyway.
but you're gonna have essentially,
a 4 meeting person.
yeah, you're gonna have
Yeah.
an incumbent on there.
It'd be all right.
It's,
I think it's good for the town government that we try to get as close to normal as quick as possible.
Well, there's another good thing there, to be honest with you.
You want to second the motion, Don, so we can go into discussion?
Yeah, I guess I better do that.
Because we're gonna talk this together,
I'll
we aren't
second
gonna
the
get the
motion.
vote on it.
And the reason, the reason being, the reason being that it gives the people of the town some confidence to know
Somebody's
that the
interested.
board has actually picked this person that's going to sit on their board with them. I mean, that's good to know. They wouldn't know that. They wouldn't necessarily know that in an election because, unless you got out and campaigned for somebody, they wouldn't know whether the board was approving of this one or that one, if there were 2 people or 3 people that were interested, which I doubt. But when you have the interview process, then the people of the town say, well, the board interviewed the people and the board picked this person
That
to
they thought was the
be
best.
on the board. That's that would give them confidence to vote for that person. That's why incumbency is important in this
When
case.
you think about this, Mary, when Josh got done, was the end of December.
yeah,
We were into January
That's
before
right.
we appointed
Aaron.
Aaron.
Yeah.
He attended 3 or 4 meetings.
that's right.
And then the election was in March and he ran against Don and Don
Right.
won the election. So basically, we've already done this. You have to do,
And
it's
we
the same,
took- We meant forthwith and we did.
and we did. And I think that shows good intent to follow the law. It also gives the exposure that if you want this job, then you want to attend those 4 meetings.
That's right.
You want to be on the camera, you want to get your opinions known, and people, when they vote on the 23rd, will remember who it is, and they'll say, oh yeah, I know that person, and they did a good job. Or if they don't like you, it works both ways. If this person doesn't fit, then we'll vote for somebody else.
So
So
that
motion's
being the
been
case,
made.
when would you want my resignation then?
Well, we can say it's, to fill a vacancy that will occur,
Oh,
Yeah.
on March
so
31st.
do I get to vote on this replacement?
No, nice try.
So we're gonna do the interviews the 28th and appoint the person that night. Technically, I think Don should have stepped down before that.
Okay,
That
before
would
the 28th or before we vote on the 28th?
Do we have a special meeting the 3rd? April 3rd? Because that would be after Don's resignation. We'll just have a special meeting. We can interview.
What I'm trying to do, Kurt, is give the person that wants, that we appoint, more time to get the signatures for the petition, and that would only give them a week. That's
we're
my
back to
reason
it.
for trying to hurry this.
Yep,
Not-
no,
It's to be fair to the individual that gets appointed if they want to continue on it.
Yep.
Because to me, it doesn't, I'm hoping whoever we appoint will do the same thing if they're going to want to carry on after the special election. So
Yeah, we're back to the petition
I,
thing.
I would
Yeah.
think that Don's official resignation would be the 27th of March or whatever. And then, because actually whoever you appoint, they can't really take over that night unless they're administered the oath by Kerry, which
Oh,
they
that's
could do.
right.
They could do that
it.
by phone anyway,
Yeah.
or if they're here, however.
So that would make, how's that? I mean, this is,
that work
this
for
is
you?
your,
We're just keeping you away from April Fool's Day.
yeah, we're doing our best.
I said, you tell me when,
Okay,
And the only reason I say that, Don, is because if something comes up in the next
yeah,
13 days that we need to vote on as a board,
we'll have 5 people.
it would be nice to have the full
Yeah.
crew
Yeah.
until that night.
okay,
Or, you
And
know,
that's the responsible thing to do.
Yeah. all right.
and I think that's fair.
Okay, so motion is to advertise the position of select board, the open position on the select board, asking people to submit their letters of interest to be appointed by the
27th.
27th of March.
Mhm.
Okay, and the select board will make a decision on the 28th.
Mhm.
Wait a minute, does that give time for interviewing? We'll probably do it as we did tonight.
Right. I think we'll just have
Come
to
at
play
5
the
o'clock.
28th by ear.
Yeah.
You know, if we start at 5.
Okay,
Then
Right,
we can,
fair enough.
we can appoint, Carrie can give them the oath and they can sit in their desk.
okay.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Take the,
And
Which will have no candy.
I was gonna say.
All the
take
candy's
yeah,
going.
before you go.
and there is a little, I,
That's taxpayer
So-
candy.
the
Don.
11th meeting. I will probably be doing virtually,
Okay,
but I'm not sure from where.
okay. All right, so motion's been made, seconded. Are you ready to vote?
I am sure.
All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
I,
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Mapped out a plan.
that okay with
Stuff.
you,
Thank you,
Mr.
Don, for
I
your
like how you said
flexibility
we,
on
you
that.
know,
Anything I can do to help.
Now, if we post that, I'm like, we.
Well, I include you
Alright.
in as our operating,
Let's see who's
Part of the
left.
we're at Mike.
We got a full house still.
Okay, Mike
Oh, yeah.
T, our first constable.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, Don. I just want to kind of follow up on a conversation you guys were having with Chief Dumas earlier about the Cortina Inn. I called and they have 147 rooms booked out of 150.
Holy Christmas.
The only
How
reason
did
that
that-
they aren't at full capacity, 2 rooms, they cannot occupy due to a sewage backup. And the last room, I guess I didn't hear exactly why, but they would be at full capacity if they could be. So 147 out of 50 currently.
And we said 140 for max. Right?
I think that's right.
Does this give you any idea where we're going with this?
Yep.
Yep.
It's
So
not done with.
similar question to you, Mike. How is the constabulary holding out with, this extra duty you're called on to do because of that?
Well, I mean, right now, we've actually been pretty lucky. The last few nights down there hasn't been a whole lot going on. But yeah, as you guys spoke earlier with Chief Dumas, we're in it till the end. Whatever that end date looks like, we'll continue to ride out this storm. But yeah, the numbers keep growing down there. There's no doubt about it. So we'll see what happens. But as we all know, when the snow starts to melt and the days get nicer, that usually brings a lot more traffic and more headaches. So I guess we'll see what the end result is to this. But right now, I don't know how confident I am that they're going to vacate anytime soon.
Okay.
Mike, did you have any conversation with Cortina or the people down there as to how this happened? Because they were restricted previously by the state, and then how did they go all the way up to 147? The state had refused to issue them any more vouchers previously.
Obviously not.
Well, I can absolutely follow up with them in the morning. As soon as you guys went into an executive session, I called down there and talked to I believe he's their manager. His name's Sean. And I just asked him how many rooms they had booked. And he said 147. I go, out of how many? And he said 150. And he said that he would have 149 rooms booked if But like I said, 2 of the rooms, they cannot occupy due to a sewage issue. But I will absolutely follow up with them in the morning.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Other questions?
Mike, I have a question for you.
Sure,
Do you have my cell phone number?
I do.
Okay, can you call me at your convenience sometime tomorrow, please?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
You got
Okay.
it.
Anyone else? Any questions? Anything else you'd like to run by us, Mike?
No, all set for tonight.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks for
All right,
hanging
take care.
around.
Absolutely, not
Thanks,
a problem.
Mike.
Talk to you guys soon.
Okay. John Paul Fignan, Town Health Officer, Public Safety Building Clerk, and Second Constable.
Hi, good evening. Congratulations, Mary.
Thank you.
So,
What's up?
don't have much to add to the prior conversations. I did want to alert you to some value engineering that's been taking place on the building, with specific regard to the pre-engineered metal building. And the contractor says that they can order an erector set steel beam building, the same thing you're getting pre-engineered, except it's $200,000 cheaper. Ed Clark says it's almost a better building because a lot of it's site built right there. So that's something that we can take a look at as we go down this path. There's also a savings of about $40,000 to move the cistern under the building rather than having it outside the building. But we've got to get the site engineer's input on that before I can express any positivity on that thought.
Thank God.
But
Okay.
that's all I would have.
Inside.
Okay, good news. Thank you, JP. Questions?
Well, I wanted
Sure.
JP, did you hear all of the dialogue regarding the special election and the time frame and everything that's going on?
I did.
Okay, can you make sure that Ed Clark and VMS are made aware of that so that they'll know where we are and what we're doing? We don't have
I
the
will.
wording for our portion yet, but that'll be the time frame. And the other thing, I'm assuming that Deputy Chief Washburn has made you aware of the grant that he's applied for.
Yes. Yes, he has.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make, because, it all pertains to the building and if, we had some pretty good discussion tonight regarding if we were to be a successful participant in that grant program and how to allocate the funds. So I'm
Yeah,
glad
I
you
thought
were
it was
on the ball.
I thought it was a very creative discussion. I really got to hand it to you guys. And as someone put it, time is of the essence on this. So it's really great to have the team moving forward like that.
Yeah, well, I was hoping that we could, this was something, I'm glad Carrie brought this up because I don't think any of us were aware of the crunches, and this will give everybody the time frame we're working under. So pending I'm hoping for a successful vote on the 23rd, and that'll allow VMS and those, to be able to work their schedules and know what's coming. So very good.
Right,
Thank you.
right. Okay, thank you.
Good. Okay, is that it for JP?
Well, JP, were you aware of the drastic increase in the vouchers down at Cortina?
I can't say that I noticed a difference in the activity.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I was just wondering because of the numbers, we anticipated that the numbers were gonna be a lot lower than that based on our previous conversations with Mr. Sachdev, but I don't know,
Right.
for some reason, the state allocated him a lot more vouchers.
Sounds that way.
Yeah, right now, we're back up to the peak period.
Well, they're up to maximum capacity for what the building would allow.
That's right.
And that wasn't
Right.
part of what the agreement
It's not
was.
the agreement.
And I think that this is just the handwriting on the wall.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
Thanks, JP.
Yeah. Okay, have a good night, folks.
You too, JP.
Okay, Bill Sweet, Town Administrative Assistant to the Select Board.
Thanks for hanging around, Bill.
Yeah. All right.
I might be on my fourth cup of coffee at home by now.
Yeah. I got pictures of
Second
dinner.
Fireball.
So there's a few things left. We didn't do a good job this time going through everything quickly. So, all right. Packet items.
Which one?
We'll start at the top. We'll start at the very beginning.
Okay.
We have a water connection request from the
Oh, yes.
fourth of 4 houses that we provided the water extension to.
Okay.
So that's 1401 Post Road. The fee is paid. This is just our stamp to allow him to move on to Rutland City.
Okay, so this is a water connection request for, from Mike Robichaud. 1401 Post Road. This is 98 gallons per day. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to approve. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No.
Nothing you need to do.
Next.
All set. So the next thing is the list of town officials, and I've already found a few errors that I don't even know how we made it through to this
Okay.
point, but there's a few errors on there already, but this is the list that we have to update.
Okay.
Barbara was supposed to bring that up on her part of it. There are 4 planning commission members who are all up now. At the meeting on Thursday, they all expressed their desire to remain on the
Oh,
planning
good.
commission.
Okay,
So that's Sherman Hunter, Howard Burgess, Andrew McCain, and Jerry Stearns. They would like to remain.
I'll make a motion. We reappoint those 4 members.
Second.
motion's made and seconded to reappoint the 4 that were just named to the another 3-year term each. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
So if you hadn't deciphered my color coding, the green were people that were elected at the recent election and their current terms, and we'll update a couple from the action tonight. The yellow are elected positions which are currently vacant because no one ran or was approved for those positions.
Somebody that wants.
Well,
We're gonna advertise it.
Okay.
The
That was
cemetery
Byron's
com-
job, right?
Yeah, the cemetery commissioner is gonna advertise that.
Okay.
We'll make an appointment.
is that you guys appoint?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Okay, cause we
Yeah.
could put it on the ballot for the May 23rd meeting.
It's gonna be a big ballot.
But it will be, but you know, if it's a big
Yeah,
ballot,
get
maybe
everything
there'll
wrapped
be
up.
interest.
Yeah.
We'll
Well-
probably have to, right?
Yeah,
That's a.
Well, it's an elected office. It's
Yeah,
the next
it's an
election.
elected
So, yeah.
office, so yeah. Okay.
And then the
That would be
so
other commissioner.
ballot,
Yeah.
I'm gonna put the grand jurors position up again.
grand juror on 2.
yep.
That's my first elected position.
And then the blue ones
Second one.
are the ones that
Oh, okay.
you all need to do. So we did the planning commission ones, and then there's the ones toward the end, which are honorary.
So has anyone checked in with these folks to
No.
see whether they're?
No.
We've got wearer of the coal, tree warden, pound keeper, inspector of wood, fence viewer 3, select board liaison to school boards, school board liaison to select board. So, let's just check in with these folks. Bill, could I ask you to do that?
I can give it a try,
Okay,
Sure.
thank you.
Yeah.
And then we'll put
and then we'll
them
work
on.
on that for,
But I said he'd continue being
he would.
inspector would.
Would he?
Yep.
You want to take him now?
And we just do them all together.
Okay, all right.
If there's
Say
anything.
Bill phone call.
Yeah.
All right, so that takes care of new business C from the packet. D from the packet, Prevent Child Abuse Vermont has sent us their annual donation request, which typically comes with a supply of pinwheels. Last couple of years, we have opted to donate and say, thank you, here's just the money. We still
Yeah.
have pinwheels from like 2 years ago.
Oh, do we? Okay.
So if that's up to you guys, if you want to,
Yeah, we have in the past donated. So is there a motion to donate, I don't know,
Much have we
We did
donated in the past?
$100.
Anybody
Do
$100?
$100. Yeah.
that we done in the past?
Yeah.
I'd move that we donate $100 to the Prevent Child Abuse.
Second.
With money to come from,
The
Our
select board, yeah.
The miscellaneous contribution.
just to make it easier.
Or
Motion's made and seconded.
Mhm.
Any discussion? Not all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thanks. And that's a no thanks on the pinwheels, right?
Yes, we will do that. All right, next in the packet, letter E is the draft copy of the short-term rental ordinance that I have put together. I did send that copy to Kevin. He's had a couple comments, but not much, where he's been busy, but he's given me a couple of things so far. We've corrected a couple statutes that actually are wrong in other towns' ordinances, but that's okay. So this is just for your copy to read over, to look at. The planning commission spent about 30 minutes picking it apart the other night, which is fine. I've got a bunch of notes from them. There's already some language we're gonna make updates to, but please feel free to make notes, ask questions. Some of the dates for when things go into effect, when things are due, application fees, penalty fees are 100% arbitrary at this point.
Okay.
So, looking at if we want the timeline I had put in was, I like Killington's idea to kind of line up beginning of ski season, so they're all due November 1st. So that kind of puts us at a September 1st approval to have it be effective by November 1st. So we have some time to work on this.
Okay.
Largely, the planning commission had they were pretty happy with it. There was some language they want to soften up, which we've done. And again, a lot of this was taking it from here, there, and different places and bringing it together. So we've added some definitions since on Thursday night we did this, so it's a little updated since then. But
And they're gonna have the public hearing on April 20th.
that's the plan. Yes,
right,
Okay.
so
Would you speak to number 6
I-
on
I get-
section 5?
I gave my copy to Sharon, so I don't have a
Section
copy.
5, short-term rental registry and fees.
Yes.
Number 6.
Okay.
All applicants shall be pay. I think that's a grammatical
Well, we
mistake.
got like it.
All applicants shall pay a fee with their registration. The
Yes.
fee schedule is as follows. The base fee for all applications is $100.
Yep.
There will be an additional $100 fee per bedroom.
Correct.
I thought you said that we didn't charge any application fees.
That's for the permit tracking ordinance.
that's different.
For the informational building permit. That was specific to that permit.
This is the Airbnb.
This
is
is
the
the
short-term
Well,
different.
I thought we were talking about Airbnb when I
No.
made that statement.
No.
No, I wasn't.
No.
Okay.
You were talking
so-
about the permit tracking ordinance, the one that if people want to put an addition on their house or.
Yeah,
they-
no, I wasn't,
It's
I
the
wasn't.
building
that-
permit.
that's what we're
It's
talking
not
about that.
building
No,
permit.
I was saying that that I didn't
Informational
feel these
building
fees,
permit, so we can tax you later.
I didn't
Yes.
feel these fees were enough.
So-
Based on the amount of money that these people are making on
no,
those
you're right.
roads.
Well, true. So that fee structure is pretty consistent. That's
With other communities.
yeah, with other communities.
I figured this was based
Not-
on what's going.
I have I have acquired a great amount of information in the past few weeks since I've been working on this. So it's a pretty consistent schedule. It's not well, so I have a meeting Friday morning with the company that manages Killington's whole program. The ones that they take the registrations in, they do the checking of all the registrations. I've been talking to some people at Airbnb. They are so far reluctant to give me what they believe are Rutland Town Airbnbs because they say we don't divulge our clients' information. Okay. Obviously the crux of this is a couple things. One is the tax, because if they're going strictly by zip code, it's probably not right.
Mhm.
We don't know, but we don't know what we don't know. So the company that manages Killington's registration program, I don't have information on their fee structure yet or anything like that, but it's a per property fee that they charge. Where there's 18 that I've know of, and I'm sure it's probably half again as much or twice as much as was what the actual number is going to be. So I'm going to find out what it actually would cost us to hire them from day one.
Okay.
You have the information I gave you about Rutland cities, because they've contracted with a firm that
Yes,
tracks those. Is it the
Yep.
same one that does
I
Killington?
I think it might be. There's only a couple that do it.
Right.
It's Muni Revs, it's GovOS.
GovOS is the one.
Yeah, that's the same company. So,
Okay.
so I'm meeting with them on Friday to talk about this. So I think,
They give you more information than Airbnb will give you.
oh, they have a whole different, that's two separate companies. So they are not, they would be working for us.
Right.
So they take a different approach. They go through all of the short-term rental sites and resources. They will take lister information that says 123 Main Street says your 2 bedrooms, which you're advertising, you can sleep 8, that's incompatible. And they tell us that. So they're because there's a formula. If you have 2 bedrooms, it's 2 people per bedroom plus 2. So you can have up to 6 in a 2-bedroom rental, and that's covered in the definitions in there. So it does kind of get a little into it. There was a lot of discussion Thursday about inspections and if we rely too heavily on Division of Fire Safety, because they're kind of busy and they may not be able to get to them all if we require. So how we do that. So I was talking with Kevin a little bit about that too. So I'm going to find out more
Okay.
from that. So my thought was that the fee structure should be appropriately sized to make sure that we 100% cover any cost of hiring this company, and then possibly leave us some more to do some work on it in the background. So until I find out what they actually are going to cost us,
Maybe they do it on a percentage of
it's
what.
it's a per property basis.
Okay, good.
So if people register, they're in the list, but they will tell you if there's somebody in your municipality that's offering their property, but they're not registered. There's a lot they'll do, and I'm sure there's more that they'll do that I don't even know about yet. But also, if you notice, if you go through the penalty portion of our evening, some of those get a little more substantial, and one of those operating without being registered becomes painful. And that's
800 per day.
that. Well, and there is the waiver. We do have the waivers in there. So, but that's, which is fair.
Right.
But that is
That's the
how-
encouragement.
Yes,
Yeah.
right. It's, with something like this, and to like your point, Don, there people are going to people do make a lot of money on these when they're positioned right and they're done well, they can make a lot of money. So a 4-bedroom house for a $500 permit fee for a year isn't really going to be that big a deal.
No.
But if they're running it without being registered at $400 a day for a penalty, that will hurt. The idea is that we make it more painful to not do it than we do to do it. So
That's a good.
All right. So take a look at this, and it's going to be a work in progress.
absolutely.
And I had a couple of questions, but I'm going to go
Yep.
read through this and see
Yep.
what it is.
It's
Nice bit of work.
Right,
Thank
and I
you.
like the form, the applicate now.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is pretty, concise.
that is 100% homemade. So
Well, but you draw from different aspects of life, like
do.
the fire thing. Some people don't have that,
Yeah.
and then the stuff the board talks about that to some people goes over their head, but you're
Yeah.
paying attention. So I think, I like the way that was drawn
I-
up.
I didn't think it was going to be perfect the first time out, but I think I got
I think you did pretty darn good.
Probably like
Yeah.
80%, maybe. We'll say 80%. So I think whether we hire this other company or not, this should keep moving forward. So I think the planning commission April 20th date is probably realistic. Mr. Cohen sent me a pretty thorough set of notes.
I'm sure.
We'll say thorough set of notes on the ordinance. So I haven't had a chance to read his yet.
Okay.
There's a lot. So we'll work on that. But this is something that I'm hoping by like June, July, we're like ready to
Good.
go. I don't think it'll take a lot.
Mhm.
It's not complicated, but there's just a few things that we got to make sure are lined up. And that's where I've had Kevin, like, I need you for like statutory things and some of the language and stuff. So, but largely we've been good. I talked to Ed Bove at the Regional Planning Commission. He helped Killington draft theirs. So he went through it and he's like, yeah, I don't have any changes for you. So that was nice. Killington has it in zoning right now. They are actively pulling it out of zoning to create it as an ordinance, and that's what Kevin's working on, but Kevin hasn't even started theirs yet. So, so we're actually now ahead of them. So,
Right.
This is damn good.
thank you. So if you have any questions, let me know. If anybody wants to come in and read the draft, that's fine to do too. But my April circle article will be pretty much on ordinances in general. So there's a lot happening with them right now. So, all right. So that's F. We have taken care of G. We're moving that to the next meeting. Letter H is a letter from Deputy Chief Washburn on the grant he applied for. That came from Devin Neary at the Planning Commission, sent that to me. Ted and I did a couple things. Ted did most of it. I wrangled him in from his day off to help me get it submitted on Friday because we had a hard deadline. So we got it in all set. And the last one was from Marcia. There was one person so far who's put in a letter of interest for the Lister clerk's position, and that is there. But we'll save that for the period when they come
That's
up. It is
Okay.
I.
Good.
So do we do that? We will appoint that person?
Well,
Or does Marcia?
that's
This is
good
the
to you
question
guys.
because,
I think she's gonna make a recommendation and.
okay,
then
because I was gonna say Carrie hires her own people and
But she's in the, well, yeah.
yeah, she's an
Marcia is
elected
too.
official with a budget and
Yeah.
it's an interesting,
It's
because
a-
we've never been here before.
Right? It's a new thing.
So that might be,
Gonna interview whoever,
right, she should do the interviewing, obviously.
then make a recommendation, but the
Yeah.
board will actually do the hiring, I think. I'm not sure that.
I
I'm
don't,
not sure either.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. well,
Okay,
We'll
well,
work it out.
But
Oh,
I
and I forgot the
think,
scholarship application. I gave you a
So
copy.
that-
Everybody has a copy of the 2023 scholarship application
Yes,
for
indeed.
Rutland Town seniors.
Sharon and I went over this briefly and we're just using, Bill had changed the date and we're using the same template we did before.
Yep.
Deadline is April 28th, and that's to make the round of. We just wanted to get it out there.
Yep.
Whoever ends up being on the committee that goes through there, we thought it was time to get this out.
It has made it to Facebook. It's on the
Yay.
website, and it's been emailed to Rutland City and Mill River. So it's out there.
Okay,
Perfect.
okay.
They're the only ones I had contact information for.
Okay,
There's like West Rutland and Proctor, but I don't have, there's no people that are like,
okay.
This is
So
what goes
yeah, I
through
should
stuff.
probably take a look because Sharon and I went to Proctor last year to get
Yeah.
out. Okay.
so if we know, absolutely, if we
Yeah,
send it to them,
I'd
so.
have to look out up who the person was.
Yeah,
we'll-
but we've got it, we've, it's ready to go if anybody needs it.
Yes,
All right,
okay,
couple more things.
next,
Our offering for sale by bid of the wood at Northwood Park was not successful.
And
so nobody
so
wanted it.
I went up and looked at it, Bill,
Okay,
Okay,
and I'll tell you what I found.
okay.
pile of wood.
I have no idea what we're talking about,
I
because
don't
it's
either.
scattered from here to eternity.
Sure is.
Okay.
There's a pile of pine logs that are nothing special next to that guy's nice garage he's got. There's another pile of full-length trees. I noticed a couple of hardwoods in there mixed in, and I'm not sure what that was. And then there's some further up the right of way that I don't know if those are included. And then the other direction toward Goodrich's, there's a pile of
Yeah.
hardwood white birch, and I don't know if that's theirs or the town's. So
I don't know either.
um
Or the
in order
schools.
for this to take place or something to happen with this,
Yeah.
there would have to be some kind of a clear designation, like somebody's got to go up there and spray the available timber with a red paint pail or something.
Our tree.
Because I was going to come in and, I knew in our conversation, nobody had done anything as of last week, and I was going to come in and just say, well, I'll give you $25. But it might cost me 2,500 to
Going
get it
once,
out of there.
Going twice.
So I was very cautious. But I did go look at it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Fred said the neighbor wanted the stuff.
He
And
wants
the
the pine, I do believe, but if he wants, in my opinion, if the only thing we have to, if he wants it, there has to be a timetable for him to get it, take it and move it.
What he's saying is more work than it's worth.
Okay,
That's the,
all right.
I tried to make that point. at
Did
the
you go
start
look
that
at it?
It's not enough
No.
It's not enough logs to, I mean, you can't even hire a log truck to go get it. If the neighbor wants it, let him take it.
You know, I mean, for me to do it, I was looking at doing it. I thought, well, you know, if it's all piled up, I load my skid steer on my trailer.
Yep.
Park my trailer there, run up there, grab them and load them. But then when I got to looking at it,
I know.
I
that's
may
what-
have to move a machine with a winch to get them close enough
Yeah.
to somewhere where I can do something.
That's
And
what
then-
Fred said.
And then you get to that, you got people operating on town property, so we need a certificate of insurance out of them, and it's not worth, if the neighbor wants the stuff, just
Give
let
it
him
to
take
them.
it.
But I think
So,
that
well,
if
the
we,
reason we did it, because at the time we had interest of a town employee
Right.
who was thinking about it, and we wanted to be very clear that it was open and anybody could put in a
And I-
bid. If
and I-
nobody has, I think we're free to do what we want.
and
with
I
it.
do believe that the fact that you don't know what you're getting for what you
Would bid.
be, and I think that if we give it to the neighbor, the same thing takes place. I think it's on us to show him what he's getting. Because if it's somebody else's trees and he goes and takes them and he says, well, the town said you, oh my God, can you
So
see
we,
where this is going?
we want to ask Fred if he'll go mark the trees.
Yeah.
I think that what's available, what's the towns and what was part of this project needs to be identified.
Okay.
Or even if Fred can just meet with the neighbor.
Or if
and
the neighbor
show him
wants
the
it, whatever, because
piles.
I looked at it and I was pretty interested in the hardwood because we sell firewood.
Okay.
But then I went, "Nah, sometimes I know when I'm getting in over my
Yeah,
head."
it's
Okay.
All right.
really enough, it's worth trying to do
I talked before about the grant opportunity from AARP
Oh, yeah.
for the rapid flashing beacons.
Yeah.
We submitted it today,
Good.
so we should hear there. If we get it, will be a few weeks, but it's for about $8,700. It's fully funded. There's no match. But that would be, it's for 2 poles, the beacons and new signs for the crosswalk out here. So with our guys to do the installation. So
Did we do any more on the speed part? You remember the sign, we were talking about the
so
school?
he said there are multiple other towns that are putting in requests for those.
Yeah.
He said, if we do that, we're just gonna be another town asking for that.
Yeah.
He said, so there are only so many funds, so they like to spread it around. He's like, if we do this, he says, there's no anybody else asking for them, it's a better chance of getting them.
And I think that's more important right now, maybe here.
Yes, and we have highlighted the fact that this crosswalk is the only crosswalk for several miles in that direction and several miles in that direction
Yeah.
at all.
Do we have
So-
to get the state's permission before we put? it in?
Yes,
we do.
we've already got that. We're already working on that. So
Okay,
that's it. There's no cost for the permit. It's an 1111 permit. I have reached out to my contact at the local V-Trans office and he has pre-warned the people. It takes a few weeks to get that approved, but we've already talked to them about it in the past and we don't really see it being an issue. They would make us sign an agreement that we understand we're doing the work and that we understand we're helping with the maintenance of it and
And we take
Okay.
care of the electrical cost and all.
what's
that.
solar.
Oh,
So-
solar,
yeah,
okay.
so
that's-
yes, we'll take
We
care of
will.
electrical costs. Yes.
So, 'cause
Okay, we'll do that.
in traveling Post Road a lot the last week
Yep.
or 10 days, if we look at speed signs up there, like. the
Permanent
dot-
signs, yes.
The permanent ones,
Yes.
I believe, and I don't know if Ed would concur with this, they need to go where the 2 existing speed limit signs are, okay? And my reason for this is,
You mean the ones with the flashing lights that are
no,
already on
no,
them?
where the speed limit signs, one's
Okay.
by Lay Adams's driveway.
Yeah.
So as you're coming up that hill,
Yep.
those will detect traffic at about 100 yards probably. Give or take. So as you're flying up that hill, that light's gonna be right there in front of the school telling you you're doing 45 and a 25. And if you're coming down, you're gonna be warned before you get to the crosswalk that you're speeding and.
Yep.
What I'm getting at is these will not interfere with the sidewalk Dave is going to be building.
Okay.
Not the one on the south side of Post Road. The first one you went like the by
West
by
side.
The one by Lay Adams's won't interfere.
Correct.
The other one won't either because it's already below the sidewalk that comes
well,
up
the
from
route
school.
of the sidewalk is where we talked about that. I talked about that with Dave and we all agree we want to put these in the permanent signs. So they are going to plan for where that sign should best be positioned when they put the sidewalk in.
Right,
So that way they don't have to.
right. And I don't think it should go in the new sidewalk at all. Where does the sidewalk go? Doesn't the new sidewalk start where that other one comes up by the
Yes.
crosswalk and then it goes towards
Don't-
Shazam?
Yes.
That's speed limit sign is
No. This goes all the way across the front of the school.
all the way
All
down.
the way. All,
Okay.
both driveways, all the way.
I didn't think it, so it's gonna
Yes.
go down and connect to the other one?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's where the other one should be.
Right, so,
Right
so,
there.
agreed, that's why they want to account for that
Okay,
in
all
there,
right.
so.
I
the
was misinformed.
signs
Thank you.
themselves are about $10,000 for two of them, that's
Right.
signs, batteries, they're solar.
Mhm.
So I was talking with Dave and he said that the bases, because there's obviously the poles you gotta put them on. He said, they did a couple in the city and you can send the base template to like Camp Precast Concrete.
Yeah.
And it will create your base with all the hardware mounted in it, so you just put the base in the ground, put the pole in the base, and away you go, like it's already
But do you think,
ready to go.
Ed, that those two locations would be good, better?
Are those, we get a thumb drive and download the data from them?
I was pretty sure we could. I haven't talked to them in a little bit. It was from Stalker, so
Okay.
yeah.
Probably.
But I think, that those would be the ideal
Yes,
position, because
absolutely.
we have those two existing
But they're
signposts, but they're
far.
at the foot of the hill. So you're coming up Post Road legally doing 35 and that thing's gonna be blinking at you. You're doing too fast. So
Yeah.
at the top of the hill, I think would be better.
It's a good place for it. Yeah.
All right.
And both of those locations will allow it to get sunlight, so it'll keep working.
Right.
Which is important.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you. I
Uh,
wanted to bring
okay.
that up because
No-
I
no
knew you've been
problem.
working
It's,
on it.
we've been talking about it. It's kind of one of those things everybody agreed we want to put them in, but we just never said we're gonna go after them and we're just gonna spend the money and do it.
So
So
that funding would probably be on us, maybe.
Building,
I'm not sure what that would be. I think that somewhere we ought to be able to come up with the money, because I think that is one of the most important places.
Yeah.
I
to put
agree.
'em. Nobody. Well, I
What
won't
about
say
our,
nobody. I drive 25 there as best I can, and I had an incident.
What do you mean as best you can?
Well, when you're going, when you're going down with a truck, it kind of stays at 25, creeps up to 28, 30 once in a while, and if somebody's following me, I set the cruise control and it stays right there. Because, a New Jersey car coming down through there last
Yeah.
night when I was doing,
they're
and
40,
there was
50
no
easy.
vehicle in sight when I pulled off from, no, it was the day before I pulled off of Holly Lane. There's no cars anywhere. And by the time I got to the crest of the hill, I couldn't see the headlights on the car behind me. Which instinctively puts
Yeah.
me into pain in the neck mode and I
And-
can downshift the standard and it does 25.
When we put
Right
road
to
rage.
the, right to the foot of the hill.
Road rage, I'm
And,
always-
and they stayed right
behind you. Yeah.
so close, I could not read the license.
When
plate
we've had
anymore.
the speed cart there and they pull the report and I mean,
It's terrible.
it's not great.
Our PD, you guys could live there.
Oh,
Yeah, you could generate a lot of income there. Hey,
I'm-
what about the notification sign or the, what did we call that? The town electronic,
Oh, the speed card?
no,
No.
the town electronic board that,
well, that's a different sign. I got another sign. I got another sign to talk about too. So
Okay,
that
well,
we that we've talked about that. It hasn't really come up again, but yeah, that's out
oh,
there
can we
too.
get a grant for that?
For
Probably
what?
not. Probably not.
electronic sign out front that you
Yeah,
didn't think looked
no,
good.
No, no.
We talked a while
That
ago
makes
about
me
the gateway signs coming into
Yes.
town.
Yeah, yeah.
We had Awesome Graphics did quotes for us. We kind of never did anything with it. Well, they called me again the other day. They're like, "Are you doing anything with this?" I'm like, we kind of just forgot about it. So they sent me the quotes again. I talked to Dave. There's 3 different ones. There's a high density foam sign, which Dave and I agreed probably isn't the best
No.
option for this. There is an aluminum one and a 3/4 inch exterior PVC sign. And Dave and I kind of agreed that was the one we liked.
The PVC?
Yes.
Yeah.
Those are the-
This is the cost. So they are $631 each. We have 3 right now. We don't have one on the south end of the town.
And this one's in bad shape.
They all are.
Okay.
There's one here. There's one
By,
just south of Pinnacle Ridge on the hill.
by
coming into
Kellogg's,
town,
yeah.
And then there's one by the Rocking Horse
Yeah.
coming down the mountain. There isn't one on Seventh
Oh, we
South.
should put it down.
So their quote is for $2,500, but that's for 4 of them, but we only actually need 3. So
Because
this
the
would
other
be
one
them.
would have to
Oh,
get
we could
permission.
get 4 and put one down and
You'd have to get
We
permission
have to
from
get
the
permission,
state
so
to put it in the right way.
Yeah.
Yeah, another form.
Brian's gonna love me.
So
Well, we wouldn't have to get permission from the state if we put it on the island, because they've already told us that the company owns the island where the homeless
That's-
people try to get money for food.
Huh. Well, that- well,
Anyway,
that's-
so do you want to buy the signs?
Yes,
Is there a motion?
so move. I think it's important.
Three
that
or
peo-
four.
How many would you like?
I think we buy the 4
Yeah.
Okay.
since they're making them, and then we get the 3 existing ones up and we'll work on
Try to
getting the
find
4th
some
one.
down south, yeah.
Yeah.
Either Tractor
So-
Supply or Stove
Is there a
Depot.
second to the motion?
Second.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Good, we bought some signs.
The only one that I don't know where they are, but the one up on Route 7 North should be located about a half a mile north further, but it doesn't really matter. It would, if it's just, maybe that was a good spot. That's why they did put it there.
Maybe, but I think we'll just probably replace them. And then if we want to move them, we can talk to somebody if they want to, if they're willing to take it.
Yeah.
And then we can go.
'Cause
from
I
there,
know-
but at least get them put in, because the one over here is
Might be out of the right away.
It is, it's on, but
That's
I don't
on
know. That's
Kellogg's.
that's a Route 7 right away,
Yeah,
and that's
well-
wider, so I don't know what it is yet.
Moving right along.
Okay.
Property.
Got
permission for it.
the next meeting, we are going to have representatives from the company that purchased the former Friendly's property and are working to redevelop it. They are working with Enman Kesselring Engineering, who also plans to attend the meeting to talk about their plans to do that, because they're going to need to go through Act 250. So
What are they doing?
they are going to, it sounds like, replace the building. They're going to create a it sounds like a drive-through coffee shop.
Oh,
I
It's a better location when where the other one is.
I was unable to get more information than that, but that's what they're looking for. So it probably won't need a change in the sewer allocation. There's already have one. It may need to go up a little bit, but they're already aware of that. So they just want to come, and before they even submit their application, and just talk to the
That'd be
board.
cool.
So they're ready for that.
very cool.
Okay, the last thing, I have been,
Keep the homeless caffeinated.
we have, when we put in the technology in this room to start doing remote meetings, it was kind of like, we have to get it done because we need to get going. I've talked with the company that we purchased all the wireless networking things through. There's some interesting technology through Logitech, which would help us, which could make the room better. And as we look towards remodeling downstairs, definitely some things we could put down there. But there's some things that they're creating quotes for, which actually is a lot less than I was actually anticipating it being. So that's pretty good. But one thing it would allow us to do is actually get rid of all of the desktop microphones. They would just be gone. So a lot less wiring. Everybody would hear better, and actually would increase a lot of the usability of it and make
Where
it
do the
easier.
mics go then if they're not
They'd actually be in the there'd be 4 of them in the ceiling.
way up high?
Yep. But they would just mount flush to the ceiling. You wouldn't even know they were there.
And yet they pick you up like
Yep.
that.
They have an 8-foot radius each.
What's
So
the cost and
So
what do we have
they're-
in the budget?
so their cost is they quoted them 3,100, and I said that's too much. So he's like, I know. He's like, I'm that's the Logitech quote. So they're coming back with more, and actually it's not that much because they included something I told them not to include. So I don't have their final
Work in
quote yet.
progress?
It is.
Gotcha.
And that's more on the audio side than the visual side, or both?
It will tie in the visual side of it.
Right.
But it will make there be less stuff to make the meeting work, which is helpful.
Okay.
Because it's less things to integrate and less things to worry about going forward. But this is kind of like the right way to do it. And not that this doesn't work, but it makes things a lot cleaner and it works a lot better.
Okay.
Will the quality improve to PEG
No.
TV?
No, that would come with a change in our subscription to the service provider, which would be roughly 11 times what we're paying right now.
So I think we're good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, work in progress, so we got
Yes.
more.
Yes.
Is there,
Okay.
Bill, is there a way that we could start putting all these videos on the website? Accessible? on the
We have a
website?
link to the videos on the website.
Is there one?
There is.
Haven't found that
Is
yet.
it to PEG TV?
It is to PEG TV. The reason is cost. To host videos of the size that we create to have a player that works properly. It's a subscription-based service. I've talked to our website people about it. The only other real option is if we basically post them to YouTube and do it from there. So there is a link on the website. It's under the government tab, and it goes to PEG TV's government page. I have all the videos, but there's not really a way to host them.
Maybe we should look into YouTube, because the PEG TV only goes back so many meetings.
So I don't know how.
YouTube's forever.
Well, yes and no, but we would,
You could go
so
back.
what fuck of me, but yeah.
If there's something you could look
the
into.
possibility exists. It just becomes another thing to manage. So, but yes, there is the possibility, and it becomes a cost benefit structure. So
Okay.
that's everything I got.
Righty, so down to committee meeting updates. I've already spoken about the scholarship packet, it is out on the website. Townwide celebration, we have locked down our DJ, Brett Meyer, for the 19th, and the Energy Committee meets Friday, and a good time will be had by all. So if you'd like to join us, please do. Speaking of committees, this is the time of year we reorganize the committees. So on your desk is a blank committee assignment thing. I did a quick, I'd like to go back to the old system that we had, which is at least a couple of select board members per committee. I found it really helpful to have two brains at least working on things, and then you come up with a set of minutes, the other select board members get to read it, and you're a head start on the meeting and the discussion of it. So it looks like, yeah, let's see, 3 or 4 or 5 committees per person. So speaking of building and technology, why, looky there, we have a building and technology committee. So some of your ideas could go there.
Yeah, because Kurt and I currently serve on that.
Yes, well, and there's no
and I
reason
think
why I need to make big changes.
Well, once we do whatever, Bill had asked me about having a meeting after the budget pass, so we can start talking about stuff.
Yes,
down the road.
yes,
So
good.
whomever
Okay. So
whoever ends up there.
fill it in, pass it, get it back to me. I'll make sure Sharon gets, she's already expressed interest in a couple of committees, so. Okay, water sewer traditionally has been a bunch of us.
Usually,
Public safety building is probably everybody until
Yeah, I
the thing
think
gets
It
passed.
should be at least.
it should be, I think, because of the scope of the project. I thought in the past, water and sewer was all of us, along with
Howard,
the head lister. I think Carrie,
Byron was on it, so that would put.
so that
Dave
would
on
put Dave on it, and you show up for all of them anyway, so.
Yeah.
So
I
Bill,
was named, but I show up anyway, so.
well, and it's good because you're the link between what we know and what we don't know, and I like that, because it's a lot sometimes that.
We're in good shape.
Huh?
We're in very good shape right now.
Yeah.
Well, you have to keep in mind that Howard was on it because
Yeah.
of the fire district
Mhm.
stuff, but.
Well, it
Marcia-
wasn't just that.
That, but it was a listener.
Wicked, historical reach
Yeah.
back. So he was really useful that way
Yeah.
too. Yeah,
But Marcia's not, so, you know, I don't know.
yeah, okay, well. We'll see who might be interested too, and maybe Dave. Okay, so that's all I have. Let's take a quick look on, do we have any old business that we haven't already covered? I don't think so. New business. We've done A, B, C in part, and we're gonna do the rest of them next meeting. Any other new business?
I think we,
And we've done an executive session.
No, and I
Thank
just
you.
wanted to update Ed in case you didn't hear when Mike was on. Cortina now has 147 permits or vouchers.
What I was gonna
Rooms
say,
filled, so it could be
Yeah,
more.
well,
Yeah.
when Sharon was shorting things for me, the point I was trying to make was, better that the woman vote in the bigger
Yeah,
about the authority of what does going on. JP tried to use his authority to do something
you.
about the black mold, the sewer issue, all the things that are going on in the state wouldn't even touch that at all. They won't do anything about it because they don't want to make any noise about how these places are and what the quality of living is. That woman kind of missed that point. The state
Doesn't care. They're indifferent.
They don't want it to go away because they have they have no.
That's
other
right.
plan.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
It's interesting because I spoke to a gentleman that I've known for a number of years. He's over there. He goes, where are you staying? He goes, over there. Worked his whole life, hard worker, didn't make the wisest decision, but he's still a hard worker. He goes, I can't get an apartment for less than $1,800, $2,000 a month. He goes, and everybody else is doing Airbnb.
Yep.
He says, I don't blame him because for 3 years, people squatted in their apartments and they ate it. They couldn't do anything about it. There was no recourse for them. And now they're out, they're done. They're doing, selling them or making Airbnbs.
The when sometimes when I think about this, what the state is paying per room down there. I think a family could, or group, they could provide apartments if they were available for that price.
There were.
Yeah.
I full, what I'm saying is.
That was a whole paragraph of interview that I did with that gal from
It's
Sutton.
unbelievable. The cost, $50 million the state is spending on because the average person that has pets cares for their pets better than the state of Vermont is caring for the homeless.
Well, when you saw the statement,
I took care of my cows better than.
Joe, when you saw the statement, did you get to the point in the
I didn't
bigger
read it all,
article?
Don, because I
Oh.
somehow deleted it.
Okay, but did you get to the point where they were talking about how much that Bradbury was charging?
Yes.
$8,000.
Oh, yeah, I read that part because, and he said, because the state
because they
said,
can.
okay.
The state said, charge whatever you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
Charge whatever you want.
Betcha
And
that's
in all
gonna stop.
fairness to the fellow that owns Cortina, you cannot fault him for being part of this thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, because the state is willing to pay top dollar, and they do not, as Ed just said, they do not put any conditions on these motel owners for a standard of living. And it's not, some of the people are there because of just life circumstances. Some are there because of bad choices or whatever. But the ones that really need a place are really being compromised to be in a place. I read the article, the lady and the little kid, and and she went out and bought the linen and she's cleaning the
Yes.
car.
Yeah.
And this is, they get nothing.
I'll say one thing for, Mr.
Such stuff.
Is that when I went to him and said, people were complaining, place stunk because they had no place to do their clothes, they have no money to do. I asked him nicely, kind of, why don't you take some of the millions you're making and buy some washers and dryers?
He did it.
Don't charge him $25, $50 to do it, just do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Then a place to wash their clothes, so he did do that.
But
And the biggest other thing is, as much as I complained about the bridge housing, they have somebody that lives there.
Yeah.
They have rules, they violate the rules, they gotta go. And that's just the way it is.
And there's a plan for them to get
Yes.
permanent housing. Yes.
Right. So that down there is just a mess.
haphazard. You're talking about the place on Route 4, right?
Yeah.
So there was a lot of talk about that among boards since they've opened and occupied. You don't even know they're there, do you?
Half a dozen times we had to go down there.
Yeah.
I got a phone number guy, call him up, he goes, yeah, I'm on it. He takes care of it, not even a problem.
So,
Good.
so I'm glad that, I think our input.
This is
into
the
that
old
helped
John
too,
Deere
so,
place?
Yes.
Okay.
But,
We need more of those and the pressure's on. So, yeah.
I think the state should be putting their money toward decent apartments. You screen people, you get them in there, and they have to live by a certain set of rules, just like they are up there. And I think that's a lot healthier situation. I mean, $50 million could go a long ways to help.
Joe, it's not brain surgery because the state has already done this. They have exactly what you're talking about, that program with the furlough program. When they started furloughing prisoners out of, these are the nonviolent prisoners and they put them, and they got a couple of landlords. I happen to know Joe Gincola very well at the time when they started doing this. And the state guaranteed repairs. That was one thing that had to happen. before these apartment owners would agree to the program. The state paid the rent, so they didn't have to go chasing after people. The state pays the rent. It was a win-win for the apartment owners. They gave them a nice place to stay, and that program worked, and that gave a whole mess of people that needed a chance to improve themselves and not become a recidivist back into prison. So they had a nice place to live, a good apartment, and the rules were followed. I know of 4 different buildings that Joe rented. One of them's right on the corner of Crescent and Grove. Nice apartment building. Never had a problem there.
I'm not sure of why the state is kind of lost focus on this project and this need.
Too much money and not enough supervision of
Now
it.
that, it just could be better spent, but
Yeah, it could.
What?
So did you want to repeat your motion?
Well, motion to adjourn.
Yep.
What was that motion?
Motion's
okay.
seconded.
Second,
I,
just before we
We
walk
don't
out,
even debate those
Oh,
kind of.
yes,
John,
right,
for your
okay.
2
Don,
years of service.
thank you very
We-
much for being.
Look
our
forward to
chair
working
for
with
the
you in
year.
your other
It
capacity.
was a pleasure. It
Thanks
certainly, it
for
really was.
taking the delinquent tax collector position.
I'll do the best I can.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.